And it's a very good evening, everybody. I hope you're keeping well because it's the month of October and that's where business really gets serious. My name's Eoin Harmon and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Marina Bay Street Circuit for round 14 of 16 in the 2025 Formula Sprint 1 campaign. And by the skin of his teeth, he's made it on time. Amir Oates, how are you keeping?
Thank you very much. Yep, it's been very stressful through behind the scenes, but what we've seen previously back over at Mexico City whenever I wasn't there, thanks to Carlos for substituting in and Lorenzo as well for today for in case if I didn't make it as well. But Mateusz Majka, the championship leader, now holds on to a 27-point gap in the standings after clinching what was ever the first ever time we have seen a Formula Sprint 1 this season win race 1 and also race 2, which is going to make this challenge over at Singapore all the more important for not only just for Majka for his championship pursuits, but also for the team's standings as it happens, because I think Multiforce clearly has a foot on the door to that team's championship ahead of Apex, and they could cement it here today, I believe.
That's 100% correct, Amir. Yes. My maths say that if you get a perfect result across the two races, you get 92 points as a duo. So you multiply that by 3, you get 276. And Multiforce's lead in the team's championship is 268. So basically, any positive results in the top 10, basically, I think it guarantees it no matter what Apex GP have to say about it. So just keep it calm and keep yourself focused now on what the job requires. But there we go. Mike got the clean sweep of 50 points as a solo effort there. So he increases his lead to 27 points in the championship. Pavel, though, still can't be ruled out by any stretch of the imagination. But Yassi Latinen, I think he needs to be imperious tonight to stand any chance. He's 88 points back and he needs to basically win probably every single race that has still to be raced, as a matter of fact. So yeah, he needs to get the 6 wins that are still possible if he wants any chance, and he needs mistakes from Multiforce.
I think it could be possible what we have seen before. I mean, looking through Oliver Tara's that managed to put in a bit of a favor back in Jeddah, and Singapore is, well, it is a night street circuit much like Saudi, but has a bit of different characteristics indeed. A lot of 90-degree corners, very, very close to the walls, so we're going to expect to see a lot of drama here, but also because of that overtaken zones that we see, it's going to make qualifying quite important here, because they'll have the chance to effectively lead on through the field and also kind of set the pace on how strategy will play as well through that first race. Of course, we know in race 2 people don't usually make pit stops, so setting the pace to the strategy that you want is going to be absolutely crucial here. And if Multiforce want to clinch it, a 1-2 might be a very good place to do it here, as we see Pavel Andrzejewski going to start for his flying lap.
Yeah, so we'll get on board with Pavel now. It's a crucial qualifying session for him. He knows that he's got to find a way to pick off a few points every moment that he can against his teammate to make sure this won't be a case where the championship would be sealed in Brazil, as is tradition here in GPVWC. It's most often Brazil is the very end of the season, but this year we have changed it up a bit with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as the year's showdown. So it would be horrible for Pavel after all his efforts if he fell further behind his teammate and risked being 50 points approximately behind heading into Brazil. So he's got to keep the gap roughly this size and then knock it down a little bit to stand a chance. He's looking good here, as of course the sector split times not representative, as everyone is still on track for their very first lap. So we should see how things pan out. So Mike at 39.9 there, I can see on his timing screen. So Pavel has to get his turn to react, and it's quicker. Yeah, so Pavel is quicker in Sector 2, Amir.
Absolutely. Just going to see if there'll be anything Mateusz Majka can do. Out through 16, 17, super close down for the wall. Double apex through 18 and 19. Going to swing it around, need to keep it onto track as much as he possibly can. It's going to matter. Majka holds on to 36, but look at this. And we can see all the times coming in. Scott Flack, a very good improvement. And Pavel Andrzejewski will go through the line, and he will snatch provisional pole away from his teammate. 1/10 clear. And that seems to be very, very important here.
Oh, it's so important. But yeah, let's look at the rest of the top 10 just to begin with, while we watch Raymond van Soest get to work, where Emma's performance was one of their last wins, I think, of the 2024 campaign, as a result of Mike Quint getting a penalty when he got down the inside, hoping to win the championship. It was deemed unfair action, so he was docked a few seconds, which allowed Victor Ivanov to win that race and still keep his championship alive just a little bit. Here's Alessandro Iannone for LEF, and he takes 14th position, just ahead of his new teammate there, Slilagi. But yeah, Scott Flack is in P3, so yeah, he has to be up bright and early, as the Australian time zones will switch their clocks. I think this weekend, rather than ourselves here in Europe, we change at the end of October, so a bit of a more difficult run here for our drivers in Oceania, who have to get up even earlier now to compete with the time zone if they want to race here in GPV. So Latinen, as I was mentioning, he needs to win every single round realistically to stay in the championship hunt. And Tylene is back. He's in P5 after his absence at Mexico. Skinner, Taras, Clont, Falkenhayn and D'Amelio complete the top 10. But Latinen not happy with this lap, I'm afraid.
No, absolutely not. Usually he's in the midst of that bubble with the motor force as well, as we've often, you and I mentioned before, Harmon. He's usually the best of the rest and always the one that can put a spanner into the works for Andrzejczyk and Micah's driver's title, because it could all be dependent on how they battle with Latinen. So him just being 4/10 off from pole position, it's not quite a good look for the Finnish driver. But again, Singapore is notoriously very difficult. Scott Flack, I'll just call this is probably his second home race for the proximity to Australia, so him being third is quite good. And we have seen Scott Flack again got magical wins and magical moments here, and I think he also did pretty good on street circuits as well, so this could be a chance to get another podium through to his collection.
Yeah, for sure. Now Jesper Eriksson here for Zeeuw Esport, one of the teams that have been feeling bright and chipper, in particular with the Falkenhayn result at Mexico. A brilliant sixth position there. He won it fair and square with some excellent driving. And now Eriksson, he wants to continue his work from a bit earlier in the campaign. He was the full-time driver for most of the summertime, but now he's back and he wants to make sure he can pick even more points up for himself through the Singapore Sling, I believe that was. But here's Frank Hamming. Go ahead, Amir.
I was just going to say, looking at the sector times, as you can see on the bump, 1/1000th quicker on the first sector. That is impressive. My goodness.
Yeah, it's an almost a statistical anomaly to be just 1/1000th ahead of someone else at such a short portion of the circuit. I know as the lap goes on, it will eventually even out, but this is definitely a solid lap here from Frank, who was really good in qualifying at Mexico and wants to repeat that trick yet again. And there's definitely an opening, as of course our grid, a fair few absences, which we can discuss in the warm-up. And I crossed the line, and it is P9 in the end there, because there was a brief improvement there. I think it might have been Taras, and Hamming just throws it into the first corner. He'll have to get back to the pits pretty quickly, though. There's little time for lollygagging. But Micah, lollygagging is the last thing on his mind. He's got a purple sector 1.
Yep, absolutely, and it's going to be crucial for Micah to see if he can string one together through the second and third sector as well. I think what we have seen before in the first set of runs is that not one driver got more than one purple. It was between Andrzejczyk, Micah, and Flack that got sectors 2, 1, and 3 respectively. So whoever's going to get purple on these two sectors, I think, will clinch pole position here.
Yeah, it's so important. The track does demand heavy work on the brakes with all the square turns. And there's another example. So he's a bit down in sector 2, so this could be a case of, yeah, I need to scrap this attempt and start over. And of course, yeah, we have a few straights. Certainly in the original configuration of the circuit, we did have the corners underneath the grandstand, so that's all gone now. We're unlikely to ever see that again in Singapore history, so they seem to be pretty happy with the new layout. And here comes Luca for Pixelate. Is there a top 10 in his future? Oh my goodness, much better than that. It's P4.
Wow.
Well done, Luca. That's excellent work.
Taras! Oh my goodness me, he's come back into his element, up into P3. Fantastic work from him. Andrew Ziski, purple for the first sector. Is he anything he can rescue to maybe push it up a bit more? No, he hasn't. 2/10 off.
Oh, so close yet so far, but there's still another 6 minutes to go here. And Taras, yeah, he's a fella who really wants to end the season on a high. He has been facing some certainly criticism of his own driving. I'm sure he'll feel the same way. He hasn't been too happy with himself, but he'll hopefully show us what he's got. He is still a very, very top quality driver here in the FS1 category. So yeah, he has been suffering DNFs far more often than he would have wanted. He hasn't had a clean pair of races since the Belgium event. So yeah, that's what he needs to get rid of. And I know even that then it was a 19th as a result of an incident. So yeah, poor Oliver hasn't had it great in the last 3 months or so, but he still has time to end this campaign on a great note as we have 3 more rounds to go. So he has a way in. We're here and on board with Philip Koenig, and indeed the Griffon team were successful here with Shimon Frelich this time last year in race 1, of course.
Absolutely, and you can see there with Koenig, I think Griffon has slowly come into their own in the last remaining races. Again, scored their first points, or first double points, I think, just recently in the last few races. So it is coming in form with Griffon, and I think it could be a chance to get another sort of situation for more valuable points. Michalak just flirting outside of the top 15, and Koenig a chance to really cement himself up into the points, and it will be no, not quite an improvement actually, but no, it is an improvement, my bad.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, he found a bit of extra time on his personal note, but he didn't actually gain a position. And here's Tylene. He's pretty handy around Singapore as well. He got a 4th place in race 1 last year, and race 2 I think he would have been up there or thereabouts as well with the reverse grid draw. Pretty handy for him, I believe. But yeah, KKR want to make sure the season ends the way they wanted to. It was odd not to have Lucas around last time around, or sorry, it was mixed up. One of them was definitely absent, so as Menno, I think, Menno was there, so yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dates mixed up, but Eoin, that's much better for Eoin, and he rises to 12th position.
Yep, that's a very good lap, absolutely, from the Italian. Did a very good performance just recently in FS2 as well. I think he finished at 2nd, I believe, in race 2, which is mightily impressive. Hasse Latin, though, he's got a lap to claw here, and very good actually onto that first sector. It could be a chance to catch up to his teammate of Taras, but also a chance to split the multi-force duo. Hell, even get pole position.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Yassi could really give himself the best opportunity now. Working hard as always. He needs to find 0.4 of a second and a bit of change as well just to get that pole position. With 3 minutes to go now, just underneath, making sure he doesn't hit that barrier. And now back onto the permanent circuit, just by the ocean there. Oh yes, he's got it. He has got it. He's found, well, nearly half a second there, heading up towards half a second. An excellent lap there, Amir.
And that's what we were talking about. So whoever gets two purple sectors in a lap will definitely clinch pole position. And it's the first driver we've ever seen that has ever done that. And Hasse must be absolutely ecstatic with that. Wow. And I think Andrew Ziski and Micah really need to string something together if they want to take that pole position away from him now.
Yeah, exactly. Who on earth could stand up and take this opportunity? It is Apex, Malta, Apex. How appropriate with the team's championship. It's almost certainly going to return to Malta Force and Jason Muscat's administration there. So he has picked up the best drivers he possibly could when he had to say goodbye to Mike and Menno. So they're so close, but they've got to seal the deal tonight. With Wesley Stefano there, P5 now. So Wesley is getting the MS Performance team back to where they feel they should belong. And Luca, one of our great underdog stories here for the Pixelate team, he's on course here to have a personal improvement. The calculations show we should be able to get ahead of Scott Flack if he stays on course. But if he can get onto the second row, that'll be a fine achievement. And here we go, round the final corner.
Absolutely purple, green all around for D'Amelio. So personal bestest, and it will be up to sixth. As you've mentioned, very good there from D'Amelio to displace Scott Flack. Oliver Taras a bit squitchy out through that final corner. It is going to be improvement, but he'll still linger on for in fourth and makes it an Apex Grand Prix 1-4 as it stands.
Yeah, that is really good. And here's Raboli, wants to get closer to his teammate here, and I'm afraid that's not going to do it. So Massimiliano Raboli will start 19th at the very best case scenario. But here's Terence Gretsch, who I probably didn't notice in our last round in Mexico. He's a real veteran of GPV lore. He goes back a long time, and he's back and willing to give it another try in the HGP colours. And he's got himself a 136.8, which is good enough for 19th on the grid. But Pavel has a response.
Yellow for the second sector. He just needs to do something there. It's a bit too of a steering angle there through the third sector. Can he rescue it here for the final two corners? It's all going to be dependent on the championship. Andrzejewski gonna go across the line. No, it's not. No. Oh, 2/10 off, and that will allow for qualifying to be over and done. Mateusz Majka, purple in the first sector.
Yeah, this is his last chance to get back ahead of not only his teammate, but also the pole sitter Latinen. And he's through the Fonchkane. Oh, bit of oversteer, and he hits the wall. The tires stay intact, but the suspension will definitely have taken the brunt of that impact. And I don't think the car will be too happy. He improves his time, but not his position. So Latinen, he's almost certainly got the pole position. There doesn't look like anything guaranteed to beat that. It's Scott Flack. He's 7th place, the best driver still, setting a lap time here on the grid. So the Australian, he's down in sector 2. That's not a good sign, but he has to target Luca D'Amelio if he wants to get his P6 back.
Yeah, absolutely. Flag just on the verge for breaking into the top 5. Maybe Falkenhayn spins for the third sector, and he won't be able to improve up in 10th place. And he will be finished over in 7th. It's all come here, and Ericsson also in a crash as well.
Yeah, everyone is taking extreme risks around the Marina Bay streets, hoping to find the extra 10th of a second they need, but it ends up biting them, and it hits them where it hurts the most there. The car's taking a lot of impact absorption there against the barriers, and hopefully they've got it out of the system because they need to focus on the warm-up session coming up in just a moment. But let's round down our qualifying order here at Singapore. Yassi Latinen, if he wants to become champion, this is one way of doing it, but he's only a few hundredths of a second clear of Pavel Andrzejewski there, who will join him on the front row. We've Majka in 3rd, Taras 4th, Stefano, an excellent result there to be in the top 5. D'Amelio, one of the great underdog stories there in 6th, Scott Flack 7th, Lucas Tylene 8th, Ben Skinner has P9, and Michael Falkenhayn, a man in form, has 10th. And we've Menno Klont in 11th place there with Frank Hamming 12th, Raymond Van Sust, Alessandro Iannone, and Tin Luer in our top 15, which is eligible for point scoring positions. Then we've got Jesper Eriksson, Philip Koenig, and Kasper Michalak. They're the Griffon duo just behind Eriksson. Then we've Terence Gretsch and Massimiliano Raboli in the top 20. And LEF have unfortunately not been able to acquire the services of Alexander Gonzalez Green as originally planned. So Mark Silagi has come up from FS2 to have a try here in the gold and purple. He's 21st. And then Lorenzo De Chutis, a very underwhelming session in his opinion. I'm sure it's not quite where he'd want to be. So he's going to start 22nd and last, as we have 8 absences on the grid. So we will talk about that as warm-up begins. So Lorenzo did all the crunching, and I'll have to just verify it all for myself to see which teams aren't here, like 100 to 1 not here, for example. So yeah, that's a big loss for the series, in my opinion. But of course, life comes first.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think with Singapore, I think regardless of how many people attend, I think it's going to be extremely, extremely exciting to watch. I will admit, like, especially what we've seen during qualifying with drivers giving it their all. And again, Singapore is one of those tracks where there's absolutely no room for error. And we have seen that in the span of the third sector. And took out some very noticeable names, including Scott Flack, who we usually praise him quite a lot in the commentary booth as well. So if he can be caught out by this track, I think everyone's at risk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just the opportunities for overtaking. There are certainly the routine corners where you can go for. Of course, Raffles Boulevard is a lovely place in the world if you're ever in Singapore, like I was back in 2017. So to walk Raffles Boulevard in real life is quite the experience. But in racing, it's very bumpy, but you're well able to make overtakes there. The Singapore Sling and Anderson Bridge, you have to be side by side before attempting anything there. And then the second the old DRS system, before it's become push to pass, you could get another move just by the Merlion statue heading towards the Opera House. So that's your best bet for overtakes. But with the push to pass rules, then I could certainly be surprised. So yeah, the likes of Hyperion are not here, 100 to 1 aren't here. So yeah, big opportunities for some of the other teams to take full advantage. But one team, of course, Team Sheba were the nominated thumbnail team. And you've got to admit, Team Sheba had one of the stories of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. A new team headed into FS1, very notoriously successful in the endurance scene here in R-Factor 2. So I think we did expect them to hit the ground running, but I don't think earlier at the start of the season, you, I, or even the viewers watching us could even imagine how well of a season that they've just had. Third, the best debut team that we've probably seen throughout this year thus far. Lorenzo and Saracino have both been doing extraordinarily well in in GPVWC. It's not an easy league to sort of come into, especially given the mods and the style of racing that FS1 delivers, and the fact that they both adapted to it so well is a true testament of both of their talents. And honestly, it's quite wonderful to see new teams perform this well, and beating established teams as well. I think it makes the competition healthy, and it makes us wonder what's in it for Team Sheba next season if they've done this well in the debut.
Yeah, of course. Certainly the livery it is a very nice one. They've got the sort of the grey, it's not as often you'd have the grey, whereas a lot of teams I'm sure prefer a shiny silver, but yeah, the grey, orange and white with the Italian tricolour as well. It is the one that has been very fascinating to watch, and indeed bits and pieces of white there as well, you can see on the front nose cone. So the fact that this car has been a race winner very early on in its campaign has been absolutely thrilling. But of course, it is a shame that Giuseppe Saracino has no substitute on standby tonight, so it's just Lorenzo by himself, and he's going to have to pull off last to podium challenge. I doubt he could win without some sort of intervention from the front row, having a nightmare, for example. But the fact that Giuseppe has come close on his own merits to becoming a race winner. He's got seconds twice, or 3 times, beg your pardon, and he's got another 4 third places, so that's incredible. And then of course the Oates was a winner in the first race at Suzuka all the way back in April, so absolutely remarkable work here. But of course the prevailing emotion has been disappointment, as of course the Oates wasn't at Mexico, and Saracino double DNF'd, and there hasn't been a podium since the Hungary race 1 feature length race. So yeah, perhaps Team Sheba's chances of finishing second in the team championship are gone, but they should be very secure, and they should be proud of that.
Absolutely. I think there's still in a chance. I know they have collapsed just a little bit in the later half of the season, but I think if we see Saracino make an appearance for the remaining 2 races after Singapore, I think they should be comfortable enough to beat HGP Motorsport in the standings. I mean, nearly 100 points clear of them, so I don't think it'll be that much strong of a fight unless if Thomas Grech manages to win all the remaining 6 races and somehow gets 200 points, 150 points, and single-handedly overtakes Team Sheba. But I think for Lorenzo, I think it's been, as we mentioned before, very good for him. I think clinching his, he had a multiple race win season in FS1, which not many drivers themselves can ever claim that accolade, to be honest, and no one can really take that from Lorenzo, especially being his second full season in FS1 as well. His previous experience back over in 2019 for TC Off Racing, he got onto the podium twice, so I feel he has done so much better, and he's performed so much better in FS1 machinery since then, and I think he'll definitely look back on the season as maybe a change in the guard and a good momentum shift. And now that he sort of proved himself, I think good things are expected for Lorenzo.
Yeah, I'd be 100% on board with that. If he chooses to remain here in FS1 to try and compete next year, I think that would be a wise option if he feels like that is achievable. But I suppose, with the Multiforce domination, they've absolutely hoovered up a lot of our trophies for race wins and other spots on the podium. So it's been almost impossible to deny Multiforce, and they'll know once the team's championship is secure, drivers will be probably given free rein to duke it out for the championship, as long as they play fair and they don't resort to anything aggressive that takes the other one off. So they'll want to certainly reach 900 points. Like, that should be really sealable. TOP, to double check their score when they were conquering everybody 2 years ago in 2023, when it was my debut on camera, or indeed in the audio commentary, I suppose you could say. So they were the conquering team in 2023, and then it became Multiforce versus the team on camera here, MS Performance. They were the thrill seekers, establishing themselves from the very bottom and working their way up very quickly. So MS Performance, more difficult second album, but it's not the end of the world. They have been much more encouraging in recent weeks as well. So MS Performance, they'll want to put this season into the history books and move on as quickly as possible for 2026, I'm sure. But it's been great to see a lot of the new teams, as of course Apex are promoted from FS2 as a result of their points tally in that championship. So definitely the new teams have been really threatening, and it means the likes of KKR and HGP have had their work cut out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another good thing as well heading into next season as well is that we have seen the teams perform the way that they have done. Multiforce again at Teams Championship, and this caliber is very phenomenal. So it's going to be interesting because I think for those of you that are not familiar with GPVWC, I won't say politics, but I guess the community aspect of things, they're now announcing for teams' interest heading through into next season, and usually along that line of things, it's my goodness me, what a crash, that they're going to try and see what they can do to influence drivers to join for their team. So we could be seeing early driver dealings for next season in this sort of fashion right now. And with Multiforce, Team Sheepa and company, it's a chance for them to bring in some new blood and faces in, especially if some people are promoted or not as well. And the same goes for teams as well, like FS2 or even from Superlights.
Yeah, by all means, silly season should be very much in the thinking for all of our team managers. Want to make sure they have a strong partnership ready to go. I know we've seen it from Multiforce. They've had to change both drivers in between years, and they picked the very best two, without a shadow of a doubt, in Matthews, Micah, and Pavel Andrzejewski. Micah, of course, is going for the FS2 and FS1 double. Oh dear. God. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, KO won't be happy with that. Just pulling off donuts in pit entry. So if it was,
I saw
an official.
Did we see Thailand and Andrew Zizka, I think, collide as well? So KKR and Multiforce are already hating each other's guts already in warm up. Goodness me.
Gosh. No more of that, please. How strange that the two teams have had two incidents. But I suppose I was just saying that Micah's going for the back-to-back FS2 and FS1 success like Jack Mayer did. So David Junt in chat says penalty. He wants a penalty, but VAR is not in use here in GPV. I know he showed me a Swiss Cup incident earlier in the season involving BSC young boys who got lucky that they stayed in that cup tie, I believe, but eventually the underdog team won, so that was all good crack.
Oh,
but,
here we go again.
No VAR here in GPV. It's all up to race direction and how they want to officiate the race as it goes on. And Raboli pushing a little bit too hard there. And I'm afraid that will
Hello,
be
Nelson PK Jr. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, that's certainly one to be aware of.
Oh my goodness me, that was quite an intense warm-up. I'm just getting word from Remco if that will be a penalty for Micah for spinning on the pit entry. And he's gone quiet. Thank you, Remco.
We're trolling here.
He says he does not know. He says he does not know. Oh, what a shame.
Sure, look at...
Actually, Remco, you raced in Formula Sprint 2 back on Tuesday, and arguably probably in more difficult conditions, more cars and in the rain. What do you think for the drivers to do here for the races, would you say, in your opinion? He says, pray and hope. Thank you. I don't think the broadcast can hear you, so I'm definitely relaying accurate information here for what Remco is saying. He's saying profanities right now.
Alright, the checkered flag is well out there, and Wesley Stefano got the best time there for MS Performance, a 1:37.355. Tire strategy. Yeah, definitely. It's another one of those cases where if you want to try something different, it will give a few of those drivers outside the top 15 an honest go. Yeah, pit lane speed. I don't know if we have boosted the speed limit in pit lane, but that makes a huge difference to make it more feasible to try an undercut, for example, around here, whereas previously you might be worth the overcut because you don't want to be stuck in traffic around here by any stretch of the imagination, Amir. So here it is one more time. We have 31 laps for the feature, 21 for the sprint at this 4.9 kilometer circuit at nighttime, the originator of night racing in F1, for example. So yeah, how will drivers be able to deal with the conditions? It's not terribly hot, thank goodness, but it's not rainy either, so poor old Remco.
I've just realized if you run around the track, it's a 4K, it's a 5K. So I wonder if there'll be a charity run in the Marina Bay. I'm sorry, I am having I'm having intrusive thoughts at the start, and this is not a good sign of what's about to come. 31 laps, so interesting. So I think we can see definitely people usually start for on the softs, and I think Marina Bay, it's probably going to be no different. I think the people for on the hards might struggle a bit, but if they are, then that means that they're hoping on the switch to the softs that they have spots that they know that they can overtake very well. So I'm thinking turn 1 down through turn 7 of Memorial Corner, 13, 14, and maybe 16 and 17 if they ever want to try. But then other than else, it's just a matter of just falling through behind and playing catch up to the leader. And but again, 22 cars, it's going to be quite an exciting one on.
Here, Amir. So the long month of October, it begins now, and this is your best chance just to really show you've got that bravery. I have to say, this is the track that really demands something very special out of a driver if they want to win around here. So when the drivers get probably to the Memorial Corner, as it's known, we could have our grid rundown, because it is a very long lap when these cars aren't at racing speed. So here we go. Here's our grid. It's Apex Grand Prix on pole with Yassi Latinen, Pavel Andrzejewski alongside, with Matthews Mike, our championship leader, third, and the rejuvenated Oliver Taras as fourth position. Wesley Stefano, best of the outside bet drivers for the middle of the pack in sixth. Luca D'Amelio, Scott Flack and Lucas Tyleen in 6th through 8th. The top 10 is completed by Ben Skinner and then Michael Falkenhayn. 11th place for Menno Klont, with Frank Hamming in 12th. 13th is Raymond van Soest. And then we've Alessandro Iannone in the first LEF in 14th. And Tun Luer has Team Iris there in 15th as well. Jesper Eriksson in the second 0-1 is 16th. Philip Koenig and Kasper Michalak line up together for Griffon 17th and 18th. The 10th row is Terence Gretsch and Massimiliano Raboli. And 21st and 22nd, it's Mark Slaggy in the FS2, FS1 double this Tuesday and Thursday for him. And Lorenzo De Ciutis in the lone Team Sheba tonight, representing the team in the thumbnail. He's got to work very, very, very hard from 22nd just to get even close to his usual top 5, top 6 hunting ground. So is it a case where Apex GP have a chance to mess around with Malta Forces? They have to think about the Drivers' Championship as well?
Yeah, I think, honestly, they're probably both going to have a go at it. If Oliver Taras can catch up through to Lahtinen, I think, and he definitely has the pace to do so, we've seen during qualifying, then I think Malta Force will, instead of you saying them two duking it out for the Drivers' Championship, I think it'll have to be put at a standhold, and that might benefit Micah if it will finish that the way it stands, because that means that Micah and Andrzejewski can't really fight. So this is going to benefit Micah a lot more, as Lahtinen has just overdone it ever so slightly, but now he's back in. But yeah, it'll be Apex versus Malta Force, as we can see.
Yeah, so the rear view there from Micah's point of view, it's going to be scary, but you just have to hold your breath and bring on the lights. The 5 red ones to be precise, before we go racing under the night sky, and away we go. Micah gets a good launch, but he has to be respectful to his teammate who has the inside. Oliver Taras has a nose in there, and it's side by side. Taras putting in a wheel, but he backs off. Then Wesley there, P5, looking strong with D'Amelio. Then Tylene Flack in the shiny yellow and black overpower just in behind, and then we have Skinner and Klont in the top 10.
Yeah, that was close. I think Taras and Andrzejewski both made a collision. Could have ended horribly down for turn 1, but they're both managing to come up through, with Raymond van Soest going inside for turn Luer, up for P12. He was going to do it for later on the brakes, and he cuts him off, I think. And that will allow for Team Iris to just hold on to P12 for the time being. Seems to be pretty okay for now. I think that was almost 3 wide, my goodness me. But it just seems to be fine right now.
Yeah, and the Singapore sling. Someone has to back off and concede the room here, but it's not going to be Tylene, and D'Amelio misses the wall by a fraction of a millimeter, but then he makes contact on the rear tire, and that's a gimme to Wesley Stefano, who's back up to 6th. He's almost there though, just past the Anderson Bridge, but D'Amelio holds on tightly to that position, so push to pass. The temptation not taken there by Stefano. He's down 2 positions, but he's got to watch out for Ben Skinner though. He's looking pretty formidable, and he's got a better launch on exit there. Watching out behind, of course, with Flack and Klont.
That was so close. It could have ended in tears, but manages to just save it though. But Wesley Stefano tries to almost throw it down in for the 3rd sector, but can't really do much. Ben Skinner trying to capitalize from it, but he's going to just keep on through to the racing line as they can. Out for the final 2 corners now to complete our first lap here at the Singapore Grand Prix for Formula Sprint 1.
And Lahtinen is flying. He's got a whole second on Pavel Andrzejewski there. What he's got to keep doing is make sure those tires are in the correct temperature window. It's a long race, so he'll want to get to about 13 or 14 at least, just so he can push on the hard tire to the finish. But yeah, this is exactly what Lahtinen needs. He's been waiting quite a while for something else to happen for him this season. It's been a case where he's been consistent, but wins have been infrequent, with just 3 all season. The last being Belgium race 1, but ever since there, he's been almost impossible to knock out the top 5. Yeah, he's been in the top 5 every round since that win in Belgium, but no more wins. So that's something that he wants to change, as, of course, the battle for the championship will heat up here, as Pavel is currently ahead, but Taras could still play a factor later in the race, as we check out Jesper Eriksson in 15th.
Yep, Eriksson just holding on to that final point scoring position. Eoin just up for ahead and Van Surst as well. I think this is the part where the going side by side is not going to be beneficial anymore. So staying behind is going to be the name of the game. So you can see the two Griffon Esports cars as well. Just outside of that were Koenig and Michalak, 16 and 17 from where they've started as well. Ericsson just a bit deep, but we'll still hold on for the time being. So it's going to be a long game of chess here for Singapore, as they're going to go ahead and nitpick on when to make their overtake opportunity happen, because again, I don't really want to be going side by side in a track like this.
Neither do I, but Michael Falkenhayn is down 8 positions. Thank you, Remco, for showing the position change graphic for us. And Michael looking so good in qualifying. He drove brilliantly in Mexico. Now he's down 8 positions. Whether that was something of his own volition or else something out of his control, I'm not 100% sure. But to lose that encouraging top 10 spot is so heartbreaking. But he still has time to make it up, I hope, behind the two Griffons for now. So Falkenhayn will see his chance to regroup and perhaps get a bit of encouragement from his teammate there, who's going for an attack on Alessandro Iannone. But it's not gonna. Oh, it might actually. Yeah, it might well pay off. Yeah, it is a position gained for Jesper Eriksson. That was really well done into turn 7, heading into turn 8. So excellent work there, and yeah, full credit to Jesper for that one.
Oh my goodness me, I think that was Van Surst trying to make a move onto Lure, but just stuck down from behind. Yeah, Alessandro still doing a very good start, having only just lost, I think that was just the only position that he's lost since the start, especially with drivers of more F1 machinery experience than he does. And you can just see it as well, a bit of a slideways out, but this was with Ericsson, this was the overtake that I just saw a moment prior, just using for the slipstream up for the run-up. And yeah, it was a very good overtake, and just calmly for the corner as possible. I think that might have been a little bit of a touch, but Ericsson indeed got it done. Very good move from him last time.
Yeah, he certainly waited for his chance. He was staying in the slipstream for as long as possible before contact was coming, and then he got his gap on the inside. Yellow flags. Oh, you got to see the LEF for yourself there. That was quite unusual, but he's thankfully not spun the car in the full throttle zone there out of the final double apex left. So Iannone hanging on in there for now for the sole point that's available to P15 finishers. Here's another replay. This is the other LEF of Mark Silagi, and he's taking on Raboli, I think it would be. And oh no! Oh, he's lost control of it as Raboli got him on the inside. And that's unfortunate, but at least no severe damage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very good with that extra runoff coming through 16 that Silagi didn't meet the wall. And at least that means that he can continue on through very valuable experience in F1 machinery. Again, very difficult to FS2, so props him for still keeping out from the wall.
Yeah, he saved it very well. The wall on his left-hand side was pretty close as well, so good recovery there for Mark, but maybe he may just want to pit a little bit earlier than the majority of drivers on soft tires, just to make a chance to catch up again when he can push on a fresh set. But the overpower, oh no, I couldn't even make a statement there because he's hit the back of Skinner, and he has to back it into reverse and wait for a gap in the traffic. So that means Overpower have nil point in their sole representative now. Scott, just a slight misjudgment there. Skinner had no idea that was happening, so I'm afraid Scott will admit that was his error. But thank goodness he has gotten away with a roughly intact car. Maybe the front wing took a nick, and it will be a little bit slower for a while, but otherwise he should be okay.
Wonder if Ben Skinner might also have rear downforce trouble with that hit from Flack. That was honestly surprising to see, especially from Flack as well. Can't pun with chasing with Skinner, as we can see down from behind. It just seems like Flack just missed his braking zone.
I think so, yeah, Amir, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't look like, because it's too far away to make an overtaking opportunity. I guess the good thing, at least for Flack's benefit, is that didn't take Ben Skinner with him, so it won't be a penalty by any stretch of the imagination, because it just impacted him, I imagine.
I think he just went a millimeter or two beyond the typical braking zone, and the car failed to respond to his demands. Yeah, it's about 75 meters. He's hitting the brakes there, and it's too late. And a car with high fuel, for example. So yeah, just one of those things. Whereas maybe in qualifying, he could have been very courageous and have gone for that sort of technique, but it wasn't to be. And he's got to fight 3 cars to get a point back. So it is Koenig who's now P15 as a result. Menno Clont keeping his head down, trying his best to follow on from Scott's mishap, and he'll have a go at Ben Skinner now. We'll compare lap times. They're 138.4 for Clont, so that's 0.3 superior of a lap compared to Skinner. So there is a battle on here for P8, and I don't think Skinner will be given any leeway with Menno here. This will be very fascinating to watch if it plays out the way I expect it to.
I think so. For Clont to just catch up for the field to join his teammate Thailand. Crucial points for KKR in their position in the teams as well. I think it's definitely Menno's added motivation to catch up through to Skinner, being down for behind. Ericsson has done pretty well where his I think teammate struggled. I think Falkenhayn has managed to gain a position from Flack's mistake now, so his chance to get any more points we'll see as he's trying to catch up to Van Zist. Emma's performance is doing pretty good though for 7th and 12th though. It is very nice to see, to be honest.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, MS performance. Their times this season have been more negative. I think they've been through the real pain of sim racing. As Kasper Michalak, he has. Yeah, he's been allowed through. Yeah, that's a swap. Yeah, exactly, Amir. Yeah, traded places. So Michalak is now 15th. Generous driving there from Koenig to make sure he didn't end up hitting the back of his teammate during that swap. So yeah, he got well out of the way, got on the brakes, and that allows Michalak a turn in P15 so he can chase Eoin, as of course he's got, I believe, the credit for fastest lap. So Griffon have been studying the data, and they've noticed Kasper feels more confident in this opening stint. Oh, he's gone a little wide there, but turn 1 is probably the safest corner on the circuit if you're not in a lap 1 melee to the first braking zone.
Absolutely indeed. Just seeing with Taras, he's managed to break under a second to Mateusz Majka, and Majka and Andrzejczycki are effectively on their own races. Andrzejczycki is doing his best to catch up to Latin, and Majka will have to defend from Taras as it stands. So we're going to see properly Apex Grand Prix versus Multiforce all for race 1, and also with the strategies and how they drive come into play as well. So this will be very interesting to see, because Singapore requires such a specific driving style and a specific strategy in order to properly win here. And these 4 well within contention, and any 4 of them can really clinch it. Oliver Towers again got his first win back over at Jeddah. Yeah, so Latin has always been continuously best of the rest. As you mentioned, never finished lower than the top 5 in recent times. And Andrzejczycki and Mike again, first double race winner in Mexico, hoping to continue on for that momentum. And Andrzejczycki looking to put his championship back on track with a race win. So this is going to be what's at stake here, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops.
Yeah, it is a bit of a phony war at the moment. None of these cars are together side by side or anything like that. They're second apart each. So you've got the leader, then you've got 1, 2, and then 3. Whereas Tylene has cut adrift badly there. He's about 5 seconds off these guys. So that's the class on show. And then the strategy selection for the drivers outside the top 15. Only 3 have chosen the harder compound. So those are Terence Gretsch, DeChutis and Raboli. So DeChutis in particular is the one driver who we know can get the results consistently as part of a battle for high honours, whereas Raboli, he's had some good moments this campaign. Certainly top 10s are very possible for him, as well as Andy Hall of Point. His home race in Italy was of course the highlight of the campaign, in my opinion. He got a P7 in race 1. So Raboli trying to go for the longer strategy, but he's got to watch 2 drivers who are on the exact same plan as him, so that makes it a bit more difficult to keep yourself totally engaged, because you're not going to be able to try something a little bit different to try and beat these guys. You're going to have to follow their lead and say, yeah, I'm going to go to about lap 17, 18, maybe even 20, and then push very hard on softs in order to make this work. But at the moment, it's not looking good for the hard compound, as no one has really made huge inroads.
No, and they're really putting their chips onto hoping that the lighter fuel load combined with the softs will make enough strides to push themselves up for the field. Of course, Raboli, Dikitis, and Gretsch, all three of them were positioned lower to the grid. So as this is an opportunity, again, you're outside of the point scoring position by a bit of a margin. So pin on through to the hard compounds now at the start of the race to switch onto the softs, I think is a very good take to try and catch up through to the field in those dying stages. Especially when the people that will switch onto the hards, if they overdrive them in battles, then if you're on the softs and you've not fought with anyone, then you have that entire compound advantage. Of course, it's finite, so it's you have to really pick your time to whenever do it, but it's not complete. I don't think we need to roll out Terence Lorenzo and Massimiliano just yet at the moment.
Yeah, of course, Amir. Yeah, I'd certainly say it's not over yet, but it's just a case where drivers fighting from the back of the pack. It certainly is possible at other venues, but here at Singapore, they're falling a bit off the pace as the soft tires look pretty impressive so far. But Jesper Eriksson, we saw what he could do in an overtaking situation, and he's going to try it again. But the trick here is Tun Lure is giving Raymond a bit of slipstream. That's a great benefit there from the two involved there. Tun is Dutch and Raymond is, I'm pretty sure he's also Dutch as well. Yes, so yeah, the two Dutchmen are keeping poor Jesper Eriksson back just a little while longer. But yeah, definitely 0-1 should be encouraged what they're seeing after Falkenhayn's bad start. So Jesper is feeling more confident at the moment, but again, it's still a ways to go.
Yep, the slipstream that Van Zus is getting from Laura is good, and I think Laura also knows this because I think with Eriksson being over the back of Van Zus as well, then if Eriksson does manage to overtake the MS Performance driver, then Turn Lord knows that, well, he's not toast, but he will definitely be next on for that list, and Eoin down from behind can't do enough to pressure Eriksson as well, so he can make as many overtaking opportunities onto Van Zus as much as he wants, and I think Laura knows this. So just to the advantage the Team Iris driver will go anything to just hold on down to the P11 as it stands. Andrew Zitsky has caught up to Latinen, and that early charge that we saw from the Finnish driver is now coming through to Andrew Zitsky's favor, and a clear 2 seconds ahead of Mateusz Majka means that he's got all the time in the world for now to make as many moves onto Hasse Latinen to get that P1.
Yeah, if he wants to do it on circuit, then his chances will he won't want to take anything apart from the obvious, but if he wants to win on strategy, this is exactly what he needs to do. He wants to get right up the gearbox of the Apex GP car and make sure the fact that he has the chance to perhaps surprise the Apex GP pit crew pit when it's not expected. That's one way of winning the race, but here's his first real chance heading onto Raffles Boulevard, and then Memorial Corner will be the braking zone after all the full throttle work. And then Jesper Eriksson actually pits, so Eriksson's first pit. So Scott Flack, who overtook Koenig just a moment ago, he's back into 15th, but Eriksson has taken a gamble. He's pitted very, very early. Yep,
definitely an undercut chance for Eriksson. If he can't make the move onto Van Zus Allure, then he's going to try and do it through this strategy, and he's been really strong on track. I don't think he'll have much traffic to worry about, maybe just Schlage up ahead, but if he could just displace him very quickly, then it will be easy for Eriksson to get that time to Van Zus Allure. And they'll be watching very closely as well to see what sort of laps Eriksson could do. Still looking up for ahead. Latinen has put the foot down just a little bit and has managed to gain about a 2/10 or so to Andrzejewski.
Yeah, small margins, but they're very important, as Latinen has been more like his old self there in the second sector, getting a 41.007. So that gives him a slight leg up on this lap. But the final 2 corners, got to keep your eyes on those curbs because they can send you spearing off into the barriers. And the lap times, 1:38 for both, but Lahtinen got the 0.0, and Andrzejewski got a 0.2, meaning that there's a return to what was expected previously, whereas Andrzejewski was quicker 2 laps ago. Now, the second chance for an overtake. You have to really go for it here. We'll see 5th gear change up to 6th in just a moment, maybe. Yeah, there it is, the 6th gear, and now braking. Full pressure on that pedal. Yeah, nice and composed there from the Finn. And now pit stop for Scott Flack. So yeah, good idea for Overpower to bring him in for a nice new set of boots after he had them spoiled for the contact at the back of Ben Skinner. And there's another look at the battle for that 8th position, currently occupied by Ben. 4 drivers want it, and Menno Clont is the first to have a go. He'll be the number 1 contender here, Amir. So is there any way by on the next overtaking point, which is the run past the Merlion statue?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there we go. He's trying
it's gonna be close, but I think Ben Skinner is holding it in pretty comfortably for the time being. We'll have just about enough of a gap for now. The only way I think that it could apply pressure is if he makes a mistake, but I think it should be a bit for now, because also Clont knows that if a move that he tries to make doesn't work, then it's got to be a domino effect. Frank Hammy's going to get that position. If Hammy doesn't get it, then Turnlower might. So that's what being in this sort of train can do. As Ben Skinner, we're already seeing the effects of that, already being a bit slyly out for that 3rd sector, going for the final 2 corners though. We'll still hold on through to that gap. We have Oliver Taras through the top 4 into the pits now, so he's going to be the next one to put on a set of hards. As down to turn 1, Ben Skinner eating just a bit of the apex, but still holds up to, oh my goodness me, that was a yellow flag in sector 3.
Yeah, I'd imagine that might be Salagi.
Koenig is off.
Oh no, Philip Koenig, beg your pardon, out of the race. That's a DNF for Philip. There's been perhaps too many of those this campaign. He's been one of the least efficient drivers in terms of making to the finish with several DNFs. And here's what happened to the final corner. And the first one, the approach in between the first and second apex proved too much for the Grifone car to hang on. And in a reversal of fortune from 2024 to tonight, it's Grifone out of the race as opposed to winning the race. That's hard luck, Philip.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the softs have just degraded so easily, and you need to hold them for dear life for the final 2 corners. Whereas the Andrzejewski now applying for the pressure on Hasse Lahtinen through to the 3rd sector. Lahtinen is needs to try and put it in perfectly, and he does so. And now Lahtinen is going to head into the pits, and Andrzejewski will stay out, so he'll hold on to the provisional lead as the 2nd Apex Grand Prix driver goes into the pits, and Michael will follow through suit behind.
Yeah, let's study Oliver Taras's pace at the moment. He's in the high 40s at the minute, so that's good. But Malta Force have a chance to secure the 1-2 that has eluded them tonight so far. It'll put the icing on the cake, as they will, without a doubt, be teams champions for the 2nd year in succession. No, it is success for Apex in the pits, but here comes Oliver Taras. Should be across the line about now. Yes, there he is. So he's not going to make an overtake. So the overcut has worked pretty well here for Yassi, and Micah will take note of that. So if he can push these hards the way he needs to get them up to temperature, then Pavel should be okay to compete for the lead. But Yassi just about hangs on to his position. But there is free space for the time being, because they won't catch up to Turnlower for about 2 laps, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of seeing people onto the softwares running near hard stints now. It's nearly coming to the halfway point, and there's still people through onto the softs. And Jazilski, Tyler, D'Amelio, Clont, Hamming, and Lure all staying out as long as they possibly can. And I think what we have just seen with Micah Lahtinen, that might be for the best strategy. So the question is, though, if Andrzejewski goes into the pits, how quick can he make those tires go up through the temperature? to follow on suit to continue that pressure onto Lattinen that he held so dear. He's going to be the next one through onto the pits on lap 14.
Yeah, just making sure there's no funny business into pit entry. It can be very tricky to slow it down for the first portion of it, then to get onto speed limiters. That's be very appropriate. But Taras with the fastest second sector on this lap, so that'll help him catch up to Matthews. But now, right at the end of the pit lane, new tires going on. He's minding his revs, and he'll be back away on the ground, and he's off and running. Yes, he's coming though. Here's his chance to get back into the lead. It's going to be close, but I think Pavel by a fine margin. He's ahead, but a kick up the backside. Lattinen says, this is a load of nonsense. I can't believe it. As Andrzejewski, when it matters most to his championship ambitions, he's the new race leader, Amir. Brilliant.
Fantastic strategy though, but Lattinen will have for the slipstream, and his tires are more up to temperature, so he's got more of a chance to make the move. Not to mention the gap between himself and Micah. Is he going to have a go for it? No, he's not. He's going to stay back behind Andrzejewski. So Andrzejewski more or less has that cemented now through lap 15 out of 31. Now all he has to do now is just to try and fend off from the finish driver, and he's got a race win here.
Yeah, this work's certainly not done though, because everyone else's tires in this group will be nice and toasty. But Pavel still has to get them up to their condition. So Lattinen will feel this is his best chance to wrest this race back into his grip. Yeah, look how close he is on that gearbox. But exceptional stuff here. Tara has definitely been on a fantastic run of laps recently after pitting the earliest out of these guys. But he's got to get a real run to stand any chance when Micah can get a double slipstream. But Pavel, how about that for pit call strategy to go to lap 14 and get himself the hard tires? So he should be able to be, he'll be the most comfortable at race end. So Lattinen, he didn't do it there in 16 and 17, but he's got to do it, I think, on Raffles Boulevard if he's going to win the race back.
Hey, your favorite street in the world, which is nice. Yeah, indeed. But we can also see with Lattinen trying to apply for the pressure onto Andrzejewski and not making it work, that has allowed for Matej Micah actually to catch up through and bridge that gap. So now they're all within 5/10 of each other. And Oliver Taras is not completely hopeless as well, because he's still in the picture.
Yeah, of course. You never rule Oliver Taras out. He's been feeling down in the dumps, of course. His championship has definitely fallen away, and he's down in 8th place in the championship as the other contenders, Saracino, De Chutis and Tylene are all ahead of him now, but he should be able to arrest the slide with Scott Flack, for example. He's not in the points. Patrick Roszak is absent, and here's Jasper Eriksson down the inside now. He's going to pass Raboli there. Raboli is one of the hard tire runners, so that's smoothly done. Oh, I beg your pardon, go ahead.
Yeah, Van Soest was trying to make the move to Raboli, but Raboli cut him off, and I think we just saw a bit of a tail slapper there from Van Soest having to put the brakes on. Matej Micah though down to the inside. Yes, Lattinen is going to be a multiforce 1-2, and what an attempt that was from Micah, and Lattinen just about fends off, but it's not completely over yet.
It's not over, Amir. Oh, wheel to wheel. They're going to lock if they're not. Alara, there's
collision spin! The two apexes are collided!
No. Oh, it's complete anarchy now. Multiforce will take the team's championship in acrimonious circumstances there, as Lattinen was tagged, and of course Taras had nowhere to go. He smashes into his teammate. Oh, goodness gracious. That's not what I want to see. And Taras's luck has continued to be brutal. He's out of the race, and that's the team's championship for Multiforce GP. Not the way we wanted it to end, but yeah, that's the team's championship no matter what.
Yeah, these two are going side by side for turn 16. It's just a 9-degree right-hander, and it's hard to see from that position what exactly happened, but I think Oliver Taras had got knocked out from the wing from Jesse Lattinen. I don't think he was even expecting such a situation to occur. Yeah, and
yeah, he would have missed the apex if he was worried.
Yeah, they were both collided at that time, so that will be damage to Micah's car and Latnin as well, and that has allowed for Andrzejczyk to effectively run away from it. But it's devastating news for Taras, because this seemed to be a very good track for him to score very valuable points, and it's all come crashing down in heartbreaking circumstances for the British driver.
It certainly has. Falkenhayn has not pitted, so 01 esports fans, I'm afraid you'll have to hold your celebrations for just a little while, but it's good to see Michael back amongst it again. But it's Lucas Tylene who's going to inherit that fourth place, which was Oliver Taras's until that fateful moment in the Grand Prix. So Tylene will get fourth place sooner rather than later, so he knows his way around Singapore extremely well. Also, dating back a couple of years, I'm sure, but Tylene versus D'Amelio, possible, but Chutis with his pit stop still yet to come. It is still a little bit difficult to call how the top 15 will pan out, Amir. Certainly the likes of Michalak should be good, and Frank Hamming, you'll hope for a bit more as well, to try and threaten the top 10 finish, which will be reverse grid eligible.
Yep, absolutely. With that position at hand, then it's going to be important to see how that fight develops. We do see the people from the hard runners doing very, very good. Of course, they will all eventually have to come on through to the pits. As you see, Van Surst applying for the pressure onto Thomas Vac, HGP as it stands at 10:13. That was Menno Klont going wide, but manages to rejoin off onto track. We got a yellow flag. That is Ben Skinner off, and he's dropped a lot of positions in the process.
Oh, he's been doing so well, Ben. Oh no, to lose out like that. Oh, it's devastating, absolutely devastating. He is in the pits though, so hopefully it's not the end of his race. Realistically, he could still get a positive outcome, but yeah, to pit at this stage, it's the right thing to do. But it's going to be a long way back, unless he's actually out.
He's retired.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah, he's crashed.
My goodness.
Yeah, that's an incident that was unsalvageable in his mind. So here it is, out of turn 7. Oh, the bottoming out. Oh gosh. Yeah, the car bottomed out on the outside curb, the temporary curb for the purpose of the temporary street circuit. So how cruel can you get? So Ben Skinner's fantastic drive here for Team Iris has ended in heartbreak.
And that will be our third retirement, and that will lead us to just under 20 cars, 19 cars left remaining. So it definitely has claimed through a lot of victims. And also seeing a lot of people come through to the elements. D'Amelio still threw up at a 6 with Tylene in 5th. Falkenhayn again doing pretty good as much as he can. Mateusz Majka now trying to rescue what had happened previously before. And to Jesse Latnin, that collision down for turn 6. I wonder if there's an environment change between these two. I wonder.
Yeah, definitely the feeling of competitive sportsmanship. It's probably out the window now. Both teams will feel that the moment should be punished with the other driver responsible. So we'll definitely hear more about it as the race winds down to its conclusion. Oh no, that's Raymond Van Sust. The drivers are starting to feel the strain of this brutal street circuit, and they're starting to make big mistakes. There's a front wing gone for Raymond, and that will be his bid for points out the window. So we're down to realistically 18 runners, unless Raymond can repair that car and carry on. So let's get a replay here.
Yeah, he will. So this is him just being under through pressure, and this is coming up through turn 12. Oh my goodness me, that is an enormous tank slapper. He saved it, but I think he overcorrected it way too much. Out from 11, again, that curb through 12. You can already see there's understeer in that thing.
Yeah.
And it's so much harder to correct your car whenever it's in that sort of position. And well, he won't have a front wing, and that will push MS Performance to just one car that can score points. But I think Raymond is going through to the pits and trying to get for a new front wing. He is still on track at least.
Yes, so the MS Performance mechanics can give this car its a bit of healing, so it can resume the race from the back and just try and beat Mark Salagi, and that's Frank Hamming, I think, making a position up. Yes, he's ahead of Kasper Michalak now, but Alessandro Iannone, he sees what's going on too, and he wants to make his own mark on the race. As LAF, they know some of their direct competitors, like 100 to 1, aren't in action tonight, are totally absent. Hyperion are totally absent. Team Iris have a retirement there with Ben, who was running well. So LAF, this is their chance to compete with Team Iris, with Tun Lure there in 13th. So this is so important for Iannone. If he can keep this car running, he doesn't have to force a move on Kasper. He could make him fall into an error, but Tun Lure, here he goes against Scott Flack on the outside, but the corner, oh, it comes back to him, but it's going to be neck and neck as the wall comes towards Flack. Oh,
wow! What a move from Scott Flack to commit it like that. But Tun Lure was down for the inside line, and round he'll go because Scott Flack had the poor exit, having to go for the outside. And Lure knows what's at stake to be the highest placed purple team in Formula Sprint 1. And the great move that was, I must say, from Tun Lure.
Yeah, the understeer was horrendous there for Flack. Thank goodness it wasn't a case where he crashed it at the final corner. Heavily, he was able to hang on in there, but Tun Lure, that's courage personified here. You'll just see the end of the move here and there. Flack had no turn-in grip that he needed, so he realised it's better just to keep the car running rather than risk a big mistake.
Think of the tire degradation that must have happened from Scott Flack to make it like that. But fair place to him for that move to still hold it in from Lure, because we thought that it was a done deal. But no, he kept it side by side and nearly had him. If it wasn't just for the fountain corners and if it wasn't his tires giving out midway through, then we could have been seeing a new man up into P12.
Yeah, of course. So that's so important in the battle for the ability to finish 13th in the team's championship. It's all on the line. Hyperion, as I said, not here. 100 to 1 aren't here, so they could be caught up by a fair margin in just this first race alone before we go sprinting. But Matthews, Micah, if there's going to be yet another multi-force sweep of results, then Latinen will have to be beaten fair and square this time. No contact, no bad blood, so he's got to figure out what he can do with about 10 laps to go. Is there a way by, and where can he possibly do it, as of course both these cars will be a little bit poorly. They're losing time to Pavel, so it's all about the battle for second.
And Mike as well wants to make that gap from a 9 points difference from Singapore down to 5. Sorry, 9 points down to 5. That's how much of a difference that second place makes. And I think Jesse Latinen knows that as well, to try and hold on through. Scott Flack has given another go at Tun Lure, and they both make contact, but Scott Flack still manages to hold on through, holds on through to the inside line for the apex, but Tun Lure has him beat from that swiggle, and that will allow for Lure to still hold on to 12th. This is a great duel we've seen between these two drivers.
Yeah, you don't really see these two battling it out that often. Definitely Tun is showing what he's got under the tank tonight. One of his stronger performances of the season. Haven't seen too many point scores from Tun. His best was actually 7th on debut in Melbourne. And the races that he has been able to get points in, it's only been the P15. So this is his best performance in several weeks at least, as of course the double DNF definitely hurt him at Mexico 2 weeks ago. So if Tun can hang on to this will be a massive boost to his confidence heading into the final 5 events, 1 race tonight and then the 4 in Brazil and Abu Dhabi, 1 feature each, 1 sprint each. So Flack, you realise it's been a tough night. He qualified very well, but he made 1 or 2 big errors, and he's got to fight his way back to try and get overpower moving along, because they need to catch Nexium Pole team, another example of a team. I don't think they're here tonight, so yeah, it is a chance for overpower to try and get some points.
Yep, and very valuable points it will be, especially for Scott Flack's side of things. Again, if you think about the position where he's in, he's got sideways in a triple. He managed to save it wonderfully. My goodness me! Wow, I thought that was going to be his race over. But what a slide and what a save from Scott! Really giving everything into those tires. I think we're seeing the effects of going wide from the final two corners come into effect for the Australian, just from that situation we've seen.
Yeah, Ed Hunter in chat is complimentary of your new entry to the dictionary, swiggle. So
happy birthday, Edward.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ed. Yeah. Moving along, no time for Colin's dictionary entries. We've got to think about the battle for the championship. And Micah needs these points. He doesn't want the gap to fall beneath the 20-point barrier.
It's gone off.
And trouble for Lure. He's out. And that's the boost to LEF in two fronts. As of course, Stilagi, if he makes it to the checkered flag, he'll be ahead of Tun and Ben on the grid. So this is a major advantage as Michalak pits. Alessandro is now 10th on the circuit. Brilliant.
My goodness me, so Team Iris not going to score any points, especially on the crucial fight with LEF Auto Racing in the team standings. What has happened? Because Turn Lure seems to be contempt ahead of Scott Flack. Oh my goodness me, and that was a contact with the barrier just way too close for Turn Lure. You can see with the street circuit, it just sometimes overlaps itself to bring in a new barrier. And we can see that here. It's what we've seen this to. It's similar to Giuseppe Saracino in Montreal just this season on how it just moves inward, and that caught him off. And the same thing has happened to Turn Lure.
Gosh almighty. So Team Iris lost both cars tonight in race one. That's absolutely devastating. The fact that they did get some points 2 weeks ago, that was important for their campaign, but now Alessandro Eoin has a gift of an opportunity to take now. He's by himself there in 10th. Scott Flack 2 seconds behind on the interval, so that's the chance Lorenzo Eterovic Funcic has been begging for since some of the very difficult moments of LEF's campaign. So Eoin +4 since he qualified 14th. +9 for De Chutis on his climb up from the very back, and Jesper Eriksson they're up 9 places as well. So that's a fantastic effort from these drivers. Yeah, it was Yannick Place who got those points on his run in Mexico. That was very important for Team Iris. But 01 Esports, I'll double check, but I think that should be near 100 points. Yeah, 01 should break the 100-point barrier without a doubt on this score. So this is so valuable to 01 Esports against their numbered rivals, 100-1. So 01 are going to overtake them as things stand.
Yep, and it will be what an occasion for to do it with Eriksson, which has been very good in terms of his pace, applying for the pressure onto the drivers ahead of him, and well, ironically, probably might have sealed their fate. I think Ben Skinner is another one like sort of comes to mind for that. So Eriksson will be very, very happy with that, with the 7th place. And again, as we mentioned before, a chance for a reverse grid pole as well within that bracket. So that's very important. Scott Flack, meanwhile, a very good race that he's had, in spite of the only issue that he really had was just the final 2 corners. But then other than that, and also the late break. But apart from that, it's been very good for the Australian. I think what we could have seen him fight up a bit higher, maybe for the 5th, but he'll be very, very happy to recover his race in this sort of fashion. And to top it off, to overtake a debutant in Alessandro Eoin, that will be the icing on the cake, as you say, Eoin.
Yes, that would be excellent this lap. It's definitely heading towards Scott's column. He's been much faster. So he's got confidence in the car again. These tires are now working the way he wants. Pitted just on lap 11, so it's pretty early, but it was the right thing to do if he had the graining or flat spots. And as you can see on the timing screen, or at least I can see, he gained over a second on Alessandro in just that last lap. So the pressure is definitely on for Eoin. Just half a second separates these drivers now. And it's probably a little bit too far back without a push pass assistance. You can see the steering wheel, it's up to 6th gear, 280 kilometers an hour No, he's got to have to plan this overtake, I think, in the Sector 2, turn 14. That's where I do it.
Yeah, Sergio just needs to hold on through to the race line, and for Scott Flack, then that will be a bit of an issue for him, because if Alessandro does not deviate off the racing line, that's not really much of an opportunity though. Going for the Singapore sling, for a notoriously difficult left-hander, swings back on right through 11, and then back over through the bridge through 12. Again, we have seen someone been caught out in that situation, but these two drivers do it perfectly. Scott Flack a bit off from turn 13, but he'll still keep it on through, trying to use the slipstream that Eoin is sort of giving him. Out from 14 of the, well, we've mentioned it for the YouTube chat, named after the Irish province, but meanwhile, Matej Majka has managed to catch up through to Jesse Lahtinen, and this could be fireworks here on the dying stages of the race.
Yeah, it will be. Yassi won't be feeling at all charitable. He'll want to hang on to this position with everything he's got. He'll be likely ruled out of any championship honours if he is beaten tonight. He will make a tiny gain or gain on matches. Oh, yeah, it was a
that was a. It was. I'm not going to say swiggle again. That was a wiggle out from turn 7 that Lahtinen did, and again just holds it because he knows how much that P2 is going to be vitally important for him. And yeah, we can just really see these drivers effectively give it their all. Those hards are going to fall off very, very slowly the more that they apply for the pressure. But turning it back now, Scott Flack, Eoin tries to go off through and has to fend off from the Australian for the time being, but it's going to be extremely hard to defend from Scott, who's one of the talented drivers here from FS1, and again, a race winner, all in his own accolade. And also probably one of the best drivers to manage the tyres. Always usually pits in late, but this time it's been a change of pace for him. He's pitted early in contrary to his usual strategy. So we're going to see how this would change for overpowered driver. Again, sideways out for 13 once again. And Eoin would still hold on through for 14.
Yeah, he's doing so good here, Alessandro. He hasn't let that one bad lap define his race, as he's now back on equal terms with Flack. Sector 2 has been favourable to the Italian here, so this should be about the same lap again as we cross the line for 4 laps to go. And yeah, there we have a gander, and yeah, pretty much 138.7s for both drivers there. They've got the advantages and disadvantages between them, and Scott, though, looked a little bit stronger there on the first corner. Could be a bit misleading, but you'll know for certain when he gets a bit of slipstream. And the Raffles Boulevard. Oh, no! That's a big slide again for the Aussie. He held on to it this time. But any more of that, and he will be seeing a wrong way indicator before too long. He's got to calm it down and maybe go for it on lap 30. I suppose it's one last stop. But here's Gretsch. Can he double his points tally against Raboli?
Could be possible. The thing is, 5 is such dirty air that you have to be close on through to the slipstream. I think that's what we've seen with Scott Flack on how he struggled coming out for turn 5, but also through 18 and 19. Those two are heavy, dirty air coming in against you, and therefore, because both of them are leading on through the straights, it means that you have to be even more closer up to those straights as well, because you have to counteract for that dirty air. And that's the thing that not only that Flack needs to be aware of, but Mike and also Gretsch, as we've seen with him trying to catch on to Raboli, as we have seen that hard compound to the softs that we didn't digress, but I guess we underrated at the start of the race, is actually working wonders for all 3 drivers, I must say.
Yes, absolutely. It is starting to work out in their favour. Here we go through the final corners. About even again, no separating. And there we go. It's 1:38.0, 1 minute 38.2, I should say, for Scott, and a 1 minute 38.4 for Alessandro, which means, yeah, it's still close, but not enough, as Oates, I believe, has just set a new fastest lap of the event. So great work there by Lorenzo. Now that he has soft tires to the finish line. And here comes Scott. This is his best chance since we've been tuning into this battle. He's got the high side. And a bit of side pod to side pod collision there. You don't see that very often. But thankfully, both cars are ready for another contest as the laps start to head towards the finale. And Scott, yeah, he's got his chance, but he's better off waiting a little bit longer.
Yeah, minimal damage to both cars with the side pod collision, but can definitely see Scott Flack is much faster than Eoin. But yeah, that collision just push it into the Italians' favor a bit for the time being. But I think that Scott Flack's calling that that 10th position is going to be his very soon if he could just pinpoint it and perfect an overtake against the Italian to get Overpower into the top 10.
Yeah, he's doing what he can now. He's so close, but again, the chicane here, 16 through 17, with the highway just above their heads there. It's not really ideal to go there unless you're absolutely certain. But now, with the penultimate lap beginning for these guys, Scott has to really find something in reserve to make this overtake and give a reverse grid draw opening for himself and the team. So important with the season winding down to try and get your opportunities to start on reverse grid Paul. But here is Terence Gretsch, the other Maltese interest tonight. He's got a chance coming against Braboli again. I think that was Hamming. Yes, Hamming is ahead of Clance. Yes, lovely work there from the HGP team owner and driver. Here's a look at the replay, Amir.
Yep, slipstream out through turn 5 and then through flat out through 6. You can already see he's just so close. It may not seem like it, but that's the effect that you have to be close to make the move onto turn 7. And Hamming has done that perfectly. And now Clunt that had that P7, P8 position very comfortably has lost it in the down stages for the race. But meanwhile, up or ahead.
This is it, final lap for race leader Andrzejewski. He's well out of reach of these guys now, but Matthews, is he going to think about his own needs and making sure he picks up a few points to reduce the damage? It'll be 19 points, I believe, in a 9-point swing. 18 points, I should say. 18 points to be the championship battle. So is he thinking, should I go for it and make sure I keep my advantage to 22 points? He's wide!
No!
Lattinen is wide! He's done the work!
No, he's still going to try! He's still going to try! They're going to go side by side on!
Oh! Well, so much for my moral dilemma as Lattinen has cracked under pressure. And that is a massive moment in the season. 22 points instead of the 16 that would have come, or the 18 points, I should say. Oh, he nearly hit the wall there himself. Mike is pushing so hard, but Lattinen, he's got...
Oh my goodness, Lattinen's trying to look around for the outside, but it's not going to quite work.
Oh!
He can go sideways, so that's a lot for Lattinen to use for the slipstream, maybe. Is it close enough?
The red mist maybe descending here for the Apex GP team. He goes on the high side, but it's not enough. Here's turnabout's fair play. We have to consider though Andrzejewski is through the final chicane. He's going to win the race. He's no fear of that wall, the Singapore sky blue wall. He's going to win race 1 for Multiforce, and they are the team's champions again. And the second place for Micah, which keeps him still in control of the championship. He crosses the line, and Lattinen is going to be livid with himself. He's given up the position with a driver error.
Oh, that was an intense battle, and the battling still doesn't end here. Scott Flack, last chance opportunity to make an overtake on Alessandro, unless Alessandro might actually get P10 here on his FS1 debut. It's just going to be the final few corners left remaining. There's nothing that Scott Flack can do. He had an opportunity to make it, but it ended in a side pod collision, and that will allow for LEF Auto Racing to get a top 10 finish here.
Yeah, good work there. And that will be the final point almost earned here for Raboli. Michalak is watching as best he can. He's almost hit the wall there. And there we go. Just a little case of what might have been there for Casper and Grifone in general. They were looking good for a while. But it is congratulations to Raboli for the P15 there. So good effort for him, and Pixelate in general with that 1 score, with Luca and P5, of course. So yeah, really good work there for Pixelate.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic drives, I must say, from all around. Andrew Zeski is now a race winner in what seemed to be like in quite a long time, but it's not only finally returned up to the top step of the podium and now has put his championship through up on charge. But Mateusz Majka, I would say, is probably the real winner here. From looking to be 3rd place, he's now managed to just make it a 5 points difference here from this race, and he'll be pretty happy with that. And absolutely, it's a Multiforce 1-2 once again.
Well, his souvenir, this car will be brought into the Multiforce Museum as a result of becoming team's champion for the 2nd year in a row, just the 3rd time it's ever happened for Jason Muscat and the Multiforce team. So let's run down the order very quickly. Andrzejewski, a fabulous victory, won it on strategy with his teammate P2. Latinen and Apex will be so crestfallen about what's happened tonight, losing that 2nd place, and Taras in general. With Tylene, best of rest in 4th. Luca D'Amelio, fantastic drive, kind of under the radar. We've got Stefano, Eriksson, Hamming, Klont, and Eoin in the top 10. 11th place for Scott Flack, an up and down event for him. He'll be back for race 2. Falkenhayn, the Chutis, Gretsch, and Raboli have scored some points. The remaining drivers who leave empty-handed but will try again in race 2 are Michalak, Van Sust, and Silagi. But it's DNFs for Tunlur, Ben Skinner, and then on the final page, Oliver Taras and Philip Koenig both DNF'd as well. So several teams are underrepresented or not here at all. So there's one drawback for our excitement levels, Amir, the fact we didn't have every single driver and every single team giving it their all. But Multiforce GP, what else can you say about them this season?
Absolutely, but of course we still have 21 laps left to go for race 2, and if I've learned anything, race 2 is always just as exciting as race 1, so I'm pretty excited for what we're going to see for after the break.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take that break and we'll be with you very soon for the reverse grid draw, so stay tuned.
Thank you.
And a very warm welcome back to Singapore for race 2 action coming up in just a moment. But first, let's regroup at what happened there with myself, Eoin, Harmon, and Amir Oates in commentary. It's Multiforce celebrating glory as back-to-back teams champions in FS1, Amir, and they're looking even more dominant than TOP as they are within reach of the 900-point barrier. But on the other end of the scale, look who got that reverse grid pole.
Yep, what a surprise. Alessandro Eoin, who did very well to fend off from Scott Flack, who's, as we've mentioned before, very capable, does start in pole position here for race 2. And if there's anything that we've seen through behind in the second race in FS2, where Alessandro got P2 in Formula Sprint 2, that reverse grid seems to be rather his specialty. And it's going to be pretty exciting news for anyone that is an LEF fan, Auto Racing fan, because this is going to be a very, very good position for Alessandro to get. I think this is going to be LEF's second podium, if he can even manage to pull this off.
Yeah, got one very early in the season at Melbourne with Sven de Vries. Sadly, Sven, his results never improved after that, so he decided to withdraw his entry into the season. So the chance for LEF to have another go here, compete with Team Iris in the battle for 13th and maybe Hyperion for 12th. That's all still up for grabs in this final 3-round run of the season here in the month of October. So there we go. We can see the purple and gold with the white highlights, of course, on provisional pole there. Well, he's almost certainly going to claim it now around the formation lap. And indeed, Menno Clant, he's a hero in reverse grid draws as well. I don't get to enjoy the Nürburgring. The Nürburgring victory he earned this season, like some of you guys who would have been watching at the time or indeed commentating. That was a sensational win at the final corner of the final lap there for Menno in the KKR. So if he can pull off another cunning move like he did in that summer event, that would be absolutely massive. So let's have a rundown of our grid as we now head into the middle portion of the circuit. It's Alessandro Eoin pulling the lucky number 10 out of the hat, with Menno Clant alongside him, one of the most experienced competitors in all in GPV. Then we've got Frank Hamming and Jesper Eriksson on the second row. Wesley Stefano, P5 for him, with Luca D'Amelio, Lucas Tylien and Yassi Latinen completing 5th through 8th there. And then the championship battle gets even hotter because Micah now has track position on Pavel, and that will be one to watch with great interest. Scott Flack, unlucky there in 11th place, missing out on reverse grid benefits. Michael Falkenhayn in 12th. Lorenzo De Chutis now 13th on the grid as opposed to 22nd. We've got Terence Grech, Massimiliano Raboli, and Kasper Michalak there in the 13th through 16th range. Raymond Van Sust, Mark Silagi, Tun Luer, and Oliver Taras are 17th through 20th. Philip Koenig is 21st, and we do have one withdrawal. I have to remember who that could be, but it is another reduction in the grid, Amir. So 21 drivers and cars
Ben Skinner's not here, so Ben Skinner's not here, so that's that is the one absence from here. Menno Clant is not actually, the last time he scored more than one race win in a season was all the way back in 2015. So if he does that, then it's going to be pretty long overdue for the Dutchman to get his first multiple race win in a season. But Alessandro Eoin can do quite an interesting feat to be an FS1 race winner on debut, which I don't think we have seen through before since all the way back in, D'Amelio, that starting in 6th was the last one to have done it this season.
Yeah, very true, but let's have another run at Singapore. 21 laps of a sprint race. Definitely pit strategy is not going to be too popular unless someone is feeling very, very smart. But here we go. Eoin, an excellent launch, but Menno Clant is bogged down a little bit. He has to put in a big buffer against Harmon and Ericsson to hang on to second position side by side there. But in fairness, Ericsson realizes it was time to yield. D'Amelio is looking good, but there's a look at Micah. He's got a position up already on Latinen. So those two will definitely be ready for more combat. D'Amelio on the high side against Thailand here, Amir.
Yeah, that was very good. Andrzejewski dropped down a position though, but look at this. Micah's trying to barge his way up through to 6th place, but he's boxed in between D'Amelio and Thailand, and Thailand and D'Amelio are going to go side by side over for turn 7. They're both going to make contact. That's the sausage curve, and Thailand goes airborne and manages to regain himself back and 4 wheels, but that'll allow for Micah to swipple right by. That's collision off in the background. That is Van Surst, and I think that's a traffic jam right behind.
Oh no. Oh goodness gracious. Yeah, 4 cars involved there. And Van Sust has seen enough. Falkenhayn already stuck at the back of the grid here. But Jesper Eriksson is to emerge as a hero for the team here. And he's looking good in P4, has to be said. Eriksson has had his moments in Spain or Saudi, I can't tell. Yeah, Saudi race 2, yeah. So he knows his way around race 2s in the nighttime scenario. So Jesper, his chance to get his best result of the season is currently on course.
Yeah, this is going to be side by side through this corner. I think all this took place for the next one, and there we go. There was already a collision there through the back with one of the HGPs. I think that might have been having, and no, Gretchen as well. So this is him going to go side by side with Scott Flack. And we can always see Thailand was already airborne, so it might have set it a bit. Yeah, that missed a bit the brakes. And then Lorenzo, yeah, Gretsch did not brake, and that allowed, he rolled on back right into Lorenzo's line, and yeah, it was extraordinarily messy there. I think Lorenzo just backed off and made a collision with Falkenhayn down for the back, and well, effectively has ruined for a lot of races. Van Surst retiring after not being able to put that car back upright. Gretchen to the pits, and a lot of people would have for the damage. There's that front wing still on track that cars will have to avoid for the time being. And riding with Mateusz Micah, it is a good start for him, especially when your teammate Andrzejewski is all the way down 10th, and Latin and Thailand are the buffer. That's going to make Andrzejewski's chance to catch up to his teammates all the more difficult, and a chance for Micah to get himself up even higher will have to be an overtake on D'Amelio, which I think we have seen before back in Monza in a spectacular 3-wide move.
Yes, of course. That was definitely one of the moments of the season since the summer break came to an end. So if we have anything like that tonight, that would be extraordinary. But nevertheless, Micah is starting to claw back a little bit of the time he's lost. And in fairness here to Multiforce, they're running soft compound tires, so that'll be a journey to get them to the finish without stopping, unless they have something really special to come. But yeah, lap 3 has already begun. We're flying through the laps already. Reduced fuel load, of course, for the cars. They can push a bit harder without feeling too conscious about it. So 0 stops was the majority rule in the 2024 race 2 here at Marina Bay. But Jesper Eriksson, you can watch his mirrors now for Wesley Stefano. These two teams are really close for comfort now. MS Performance just trying to keep their spot in 9th in the championship and try to catch up. It would be tough with Pixelate, of course, doing very well with D'Amelio tonight. So the job for Stefano is to try and threaten for 4th place and then get the podium.
Yeah, might be doable if we can see Maricont leading through the field. Eoin, I think, is playing the early game of trying to push as much as he possibly can, and then hoping through strategic placements will be able to fend off from Clont in the later stages of the race. which we have seen before with Latinen, and it don't think it worked out quite well, but that was because of strategy that we saw that overtake happen. But you can see Clont leading over through behind all the way down to I think that was Thailand as well, so all within a second of each other, and it's going to be interesting to see what can be seen here. Mateusz Mike again applying the pressure onto D'Amelio, approaching for the third sector, using the slipstream. He's going to make a lunge down through that corner. Is it going to make it work this time? And it does so, and that will allow for Micah a very important sixth position. So again, using that softs to his fullest advantage, but it will definitely run out and degrade very, very quickly in comparison to Hart. So he knows he's on borrowed time at the moment, and he's just going to do all that he can to make it up for the field. But he is doing a lot better than his teammate Andrew Ziski is, who still hasn't made an overtake yet.
No, he's been stuck in this queue at the moment, and Latinen is certainly not going to be feeling like it's better to get out of the way. He's just going to be a nuisance without going too far, of course, because he feels he should have been given more of an opportunity in race 1 after the contact at 16 and 17. So yeah, Latinen, his attitude will be, I'm just gonna do what I like, I don't care about the championship anymore. Pavel, you're gonna have to deal with it, pal.
Well, yeah, indeed. The thing with Latinen's presence is, again, makes the difficult between the two Motorforce drivers all the more difficult. And even though Latinen's out of the driver's pitch now, he can gratefully influence the battle between the two Motorforce drivers. I think we just seen Latinen almost trying to make a lunge up to Thailand, but not quite close enough through 13. As we can see up for ahead, Micah looking for a move on Stefano to continue for his charge up for the field, to no avail. And Latinen will keep applying for the pressure on through to Thailand though. I look over there, Micah going to be going side by side in a similar move down for turn 16. It's going to be exactly the same move as he did prior to D'Amelio, and a great move from Micah to run himself up into P5.
A marvellous job there from Micah, and the fact that he has lost some points in the championship lead, it is a case where he could get a fair few of them back here. He's on course for 11 points for 5th. Pavel though has 6, so it is about roughly what he lost in race 1 after Latinen made that mistake at turn 7. So Latinen could be playing the spoiler again tonight. A brief look at the yellow flag there, maybe a mistake from Falcon de Hain. Maybe it was him.
Yeah, I think it was him, because he's dropped off a lot to Thomas up ahead. Oh, he's got the front leg, so that was definitely excursion off track or collision with the wall, and devastating news there from 0-1 that was doing also well, especially from what I've seen back in race 1. This will be for the replay. Again, a bit squirrely out from the racing line through to the bridge. Oh my goodness me, and that was on for the racing surface, and maybe a bit too hard for the brakes, and a tank slapper into the barrier before turn 13. That's unfortunate there from Falkenhayn. We'll go without a front wing, and yeah, off the front set. He's not pitted, which is interesting, because the requirements is you have to pit on the lap which you lose your front wing. So he's suffered from extensive damage, so I think he'll definitely have to go through to the next one.
Yeah, he'll have to pit next lap, or else the black and, well, the meatball flag, I suppose you could say, will be coming his direction, just to say he will be a danger to faster cars once they arrive. And yeah, he will lose about probably 7 or 8 seconds a lap without a front wing. Particularly these corners are just going to be so painful on him. He has to slow right down and then begin the turn in, whereas at least with downforce, you can slow it and then begin your turn before getting on the power on exit. So yeah, you can just see he's trundling along in the corners, but then in the straight line, I suppose it's an advantage, but for very little payoff. But yeah, Jesper Eriksson now, he is like he has a bit of an opportunity here. His last lap was a 1:39.0, which was equal with Frank Hamming and just a slight bit better than Micah. But once Micah feels the opportunity is ready for him to pounce upon, yeah, he will be up +5 positions as opposed to the +4 at the moment, whereas Stefano, D'Amelio, Thailand and Latinen have all suffered the championship leader's wrath. Oh, he's almost gone for the dive bomb.
Oh my god, that was so close. But you can definitely see onto the positions change that Mike effectively has a hit list. And Jesper Eriksson, next one through on that list, that did so well in race 1 for 0-1 and is honestly doing something eerily similar in race 2. But it's going to be hard to fend off from Matej Micah, not just because of his driving characteristics, but also because onto a softer compound. If Eriksson could just fend him off for maybe a little bit more, then we can maybe see those softs degrade and we'll make it for Micah even harder. He goes wide out for the final corners. That gives Micah onto a golden plate down for turn 1, but Eriksson has to go defensive, holds on through to the inside line, and there's nothing that Micah can do, but he's going to try and look it down through turn 3, and that will be an absolute squeeze. And look at that, Eriksson wiggles out through there and will still hold it in through. What a fantastic effort there from Eriksson. And that was honestly Matej Micah's hardest overtake, but Eriksson's not done yet. Looking for the slip shade around, looking around for the outside as they approach for the second sector, but Micah places his car down perfectly to hold on to P4.
That's tremendous from Micah. That was well judged, and cooperation was fully respected there by Eriksson. He didn't do anything rash. He tried his best though to counterattack. He wasn't passive by any means, but he was fair. And Micah is now 3 spots short of leading this race, but it's going to be a while back because Eoin is definitely feeling very confident tonight. He's about 2.4 seconds clear of Menno Clont, and then Frank Hamming and Micah, you can just spot them in the background. They're going to have to plot something very interesting here, but Eoin on his very first appearance in FS1. This is what you love to see sometimes, just the underdog having their day.
Absolutely, but the important thing to mention though, back over for lap 5, that gap between himself and Clont was 3 seconds, but in a span of 2 laps, Clont has managed to find 5/10 within that area, so he's managed to climb back up. So Sandro using those hard compounds as much as he possibly can. It will definitely have for its effects, and we'll have to lift, but that will allow for Clont to take the advantage. The question is, how much does Alessandro need to lift as well? How well is he managing for those tires? As you see, Andrzejczyk under pressure from Scott Flack, and still nestled in that sandwich between Flack and Lattinen, and still nowhere in the position to make the move. And a bit of a wiggle out from that corner goes Flack, but still keeps that car looking straight. And it's not great news for Andrzejczyk, which looked to be almost through his favor and could be championship momentum swinging to his favor. It's not actually going to be that way for race 2, and in fact the gap is going to increase between himself and Micah as it stands.
Yeah, that is very true. Everything he earned with the +5 swing for 30 points against 25 is going to be totally undone here unless something were to change suddenly. Lattinen still giving Thailand something to consider now. That's really making it difficult for Pavel tonight, and he is just still waiting for something to go his way. But in fairness here, Michalak, he has overtaken Scott Flack, so a mistake here from the Australian. That would have been at the Anderson Bridge. I just saw in a YouTube picture-in-picture that it was actually a pickpocket move there from Casper at the Anderson Bridge, and we'll pick it up exactly as I described it here. So let's watch it for ourselves.
Yeah, you can just see he has his wheel onto the sausage cup already, and actually was not even expected for Michalak to go through. I think Michalak just really committed to it, found a space and said, I'll go for it, and Flack having to take avoiding action through to that. So he was already off not to the good of the slides through 11, 12, and Michalak took full advantage of that. A bit of a wiggle. Actually made an overtake onto Lattinen. He's made 2 places.
Wow, we've missed what happened there. That's a critical moment there. Pavel Andrzejczyk has finally made it through against Lattinen, and now Lattinen is on the set for 5 points unless he can get back in the top 10. He has the high line for himself, but Scott Flack is coming for his position. No switchback permitted though. Oh, in fairness, yeah, interesting idea. But now Lattinen with Oliver Taras, I suppose in inverted commas, only 15th. This is a terrible sprint race as things stand for Apex.
very, very hard to have sprint racing in Singapore. Really, really difficult to make such overtakes. But everyone's definitely giving it all, and that's all we like to see. D'Amelio going through to the pressure onto Stefano through the third sector that they go. D'Amelio will have for the outside line, and that will allow him for the excess speed upon exit to make the move up into P6. But Stefano still for under pressure with Thailand as well, so this is going to end very interestingly. Approaching over through turn 16, they all go. D'Amelio still done through, and Stefano will still done through to 7th. Thailand still for the 8th, but that's a lot for Andrzejewski to come back up through. Alvar in P9, and further down back, Solansky made a move through up into P15, so now it's looking to be an LEF double points here.
My goodness. Oh, Thailand's so close to... Oh, that's the Michelak wide. Michelak wide, so it's all changed again. Andrzejewski has overtaken Thailand, and Michelak has lost his top 10. So Latinen is back there in 10th, Scott Flack 11th, Turn Lures 12th. Oh my word, how on earth has that corner provided so much drama in just a matter of frames? But Jesper Eriksson, he's not too fussed about what's going on behind. He's seeing the championship leader, Micah, just in front of him. He's giving him an honest go, as of course Frank Hamming is defending his spot on the podium, with Menno Klont watching on with interest too.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to be what we've seen before for the replay on what happened to Michelak out through there. So this is going to be out from the final corner. There's Latin and Flack down for behind. Again, the good thing about that is the excess runoff. Up ahead, that was Andrzejewski making the move onto Thailand, and Michelak was already losing it. And this is another example of overcorrection ending quite horribly. But Michelak again with that excess runoff manages to go throughout unscathed, albeit a lot of positions down.
Yeah, it's a long way back for Casper to get into that top 10 fight. Still has points though, with the attrition rate a lot lower compared to what we saw in race 1, where things started to unravel for certain drivers, particularly.
I think we've already seen that overtake through before. Scott Flack they missed, so this will, it's okay, don't worry, Remco. This will be for Andrzejewski looking up from ahead just before Michelak got off down for the inside onto turn 1, and a very easy move there from Andrzejewski on for the soft compounds to try to make it work. I think we're really starting to see Andrzejewski's compound come to light. Maybe he could be playing it safe and trying to unleash it down for the long run, whereas Mateusz Micah is doing the complete opposite, and he's going to make the move onto Jesper Eriksson for P4, and it's going to be close, swinging around for the outside and makes it work. Actually, Eriksson is applying the pressure onto Micah the other way around. Yeah, that was Eriksson's attempt to reclaim P4, but Mateusz Micah is fending off from it, so I think that might be the soft compounds running to its end of its life here, and it's still only lap 11 out of 21.
Yeah, looking at the lap times, Eriksson was 4/10 quicker. And now we see Latinen has set the fastest lap of the sprint race, so 1:38.0. So now we're seeing these hard tires in the mid-pack coming into their groove. But Micah and Andrzejewski, they've got to be absolutely on the ball now to the end of the race, if they're going to make the strategy work. The stopper was only good enough for about a 13th from Daniel Scott, I think it was. Oh my goodness, here's Taras. Definitely another driver who is hoping for something in his life to change in GPVWC with 10 laps to go for the race leader. Iannone, he's through for good now. I think that's the last opportunity Michelak had to defend for this phase of the race, but he could come back in a little while.
For the unfair passenger that happened in race 1, it's good to see Oliver Taras let his hair down and go full on loose for the man that started P20 all the way up into P13. It's honestly very impressive to see the British driver perform very well as he's breaking into the points.
Yeah, little by little for Taras now, but what needs to happen next is anyone's guess, or certainly here's Pavel. Oh my Wesley,
goodness me.
Wesley, careful now.
And Thailand's got
collision.
Takes Stefano off.
Oh gosh, yeah, that was a late one there from Thailand. Oh, and Scott Black, how marginal.
That was, God, that was so close. Jeez, I think, I think we see the similar situation to what we've seen with, I think that was Thailand back at lap 1, where all 4 wheels were again off the ground. That sausage curb is completely dully. Raboli's off. That's going to be our 3rd retirement today.
No.
Of race 2.
That's 3 DNF in race 2 out of the 21 starters. Ben Skinner, I suppose you can count him as DNS. It wasn't even starting, but here's the onboard with Stefano, with Andrzejewski on the inside. Yeah, you can see the move was completed, but the second sausage curb to act as an extra deterrent. And then the back end just gave up completely. So I hope that the suspension and the overall ride isn't too badly affected. And then you can see he hit the inside curb for turn 8, I think it was. So that was Scott Flack's turn 9, I beg your pardon.
9, yeah.
So Scott Flack on the outside line, he was putting his faith in Wesley's car not to spin out again, which would have caused contact. But the fact that he made it through that gap is extraordinary.
Yeah, and just that tag that Thailand had with Stefano did really end in utter tears for him. But just hopefully it won't be too drastic of a momentum change that it drops Stefano down for the pecking order, especially since he was really comfortably up in the top 10 as well. Means that it's a bit more even heartbreak for MS Performance to again get pretty good valuable points here, but still at least through that contention. Just a bit far off though from Scott Flack from that moment with Thailand. As Thailand still holds on through the Latin and Flack down from behind. That's good, very talented there, yes, to hold off from these 2 drivers through the behind. We can see Andrzejewski though going to make his charge up for the field. Luca D'Amelio will be next. Again, these 2 have a bit of history amongst themselves, especially back over for Monza. The battling that D'Amelio and Andrzejewski had allowed for Matej Majka to pick up for the race win. Latinen, though, with the slipstream now, it's going to be approaching over through turn 16, almost having looked out for the inside, but Thailand was too far ahead, and Latinen will have to stay back for the time being.
That's right. It was just a little bit too risky to go for a move at that time, so I'm thankful he realised it wasn't the right opportunity. But lap time news there for Clant. It's a PB for him in the sprint. He's gained 3/10 back on Alessandro on this particular lap. Hamming also quick as well, 138.1. Micah 138.1, and Ericsson 138.2. So the first slightly underwhelming lap there for Eoin, and that may be punished if he does it again. But for now, Clant has to also balance his desire to win another FS1 race in his illustrious career with defending against Frank Hamming, one of our race 2 specialists.
Clont is catching though, that's the thing. It's 1.5 seconds, which was lap 7 was 3 seconds. So again, 1.5 seconds is a bit of a climb, and there's still about 6 laps left to go, so still about a third or so to go. So it's not quite over yet for Clont, as Alessandro still holds on to the lead fairly comfortably, and we're still looking over with Matej Majka. Doesn't have to worry about Jesper Eriksson anymore. His best charges can't really do much to climb up for ahead, but Matej Majka is still going to apply for the pressure onto Frank Hamming, and this will allow him to break it through to the podium, and that will be a collision with the wall just before turn 16, and that's going to allow for, well, not a lot of suspension damage, but surely just a little bit of damage, but it's not going to defer Matej in any stretch of the means necessary. 16 through to 17, the final 2 corners will await for him, see how much he can hold on through back onto the German driver. My goodness me, that dirty air produces so much, but he manages to recover for it and keep it on track.
Yeah, Micah doesn't want to end this race with a damaged front wing or suspension, for example, and the full gas sponsorship on the rear wing of the HGP car. That's certainly the focal point here of Micah's efforts to get onto the podium and complete a 2-3 double tonight. He'd be very pleased with that. Not necessarily the fact that he didn't win any of the races. I'm sure he'll feel a bit sore about that, but the fact that he has his chance to get a podium for the 6th race in a row. He got the double podiums in Monza and Mexico, so he'd be on course to get a hat-trick of event podiums. So this is the stakes when you're trying to win the title against a very, very courageous teammate. He's got to find his way through while the soft tires are still working.
Yeah, absolutely. and he has to nurse those tires if they start to show for their age. I think it's incredible what we've seen from both Micah and Drzyzki, that they haven't completely fallen off a cliff, that they're losing positions, and they've kept it on for so long. In lap 15 out of 21, usually around this time frame, people would head on to the pits, but they really are going to go for the long haul. Frank Hemming is trying to catch up for the Menno. This will be a bit through to Matej Micah's advantage if he can get close enough to make the move. Then having Hemming make the move on Klopp for him will allow him to catch up, and I think that might be what he's placing his chips on, which is ironic because we're not in Las Vegas.
No, we're not going to Vegas this year. Instead, the US GP was at Indianapolis, of course, so that's totally the other, the midpoint of the United States map. So, yeah, no Vegas gambling for us. But yeah, here's the chance for Hemming to observe what's going on behind him, with Micah bearing down on him, and of course Ericsson is still in the fight here. It's a fabulous day's effort here for Ericsson as things currently play out. Having a bit of burning fuel out of the exhaust there, the flames spitting out, but yeah, the refusal to dig in and quit for either driver here, or well, the encouragement to dig in, I should say. They're not giving up by any stretch, but the gap to Clont, it's hovering at about 3/4 of a second, but Micah looks a bit closer here. Amir, is there a way through?
Might be, if he wants to commit to it. It was a bit there, but disappeared in Micah's grasp. I think he's just looking for something to be absolutely sure that the move that he'll make is going to stick. And I know he has to do that, especially on the soft tires, so he can't afford to go side by side for a prolonged period of time. That side by side moment with Ericsson, I think, may have been a bit too long for Matej's liking, and maybe that's why he's more cautious whenever trying to overtake Hemming. But he's got to go again in his favourite corner, down for turn 16, but he's overcorrected a bit too much because Frank Hemming is going to go side by side. This is not what Matej wants, but it's going to be the final two corners through to Matej's advantage onto the inside line through the exit, and a great move there from Matej. The Polish driver gets himself up into the top three, but that again, it's so long through side by side, it must cost his softs dearly. I don't think that he'll have much left of them.
Oh, 5 laps remaining here at Marina Bay. The defensive strategy, I think, has come into play if he wants to realistically keep these tires in their full working order, or else they'll be at risk of delamination, for example. But Frank Hemming, was he feeling that there was nothing he could have done about that? We'll check the replay and confirm it. Was he just caught by surprise and he had to yield? Let's go on board with Mike. He's up to 270 kilometers an hour, up to about the 100-meter mark. Oh yeah, that's a glorious pass now that we have an onboard perspective. So Micah, timed that superbly, and that gives him a shot at 6 podiums in a row. Pavel, of course, is also bidding for 6 podiums in a row, but that'll have to be a sudden turnaround. Here's the review, or the rear view, I should say. Yeah, it's just Hemming was trying the regular entrance corner, and then the pushback, as the apex was already full of a multi-force number driver there.
Yeah, late move. Hemming was not expecting it, but he did super well to react accordingly from what has been happening before his very eyes, and that had made it to go side by side for 18 and 19. Too much for Micah to maybe handle. So his next on his list is Menno Clont, but even if he takes Menno Clont, there's no guarantee he'll catch up to Eoin, even though that Clont is getting to about within a second now. And well, these 3 drivers are fighting for very, very different accolades in their careers. Alessandro aiming for his first GPVWC win. Menno Clont aiming for his the first time that he's got double wins since 2015. Alessandro crashes! Oh my god!
Oh, you're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. No way. Oh, that's devastating. A solo error. Oh
my god. And it ends in heartbreak for Alessandro for what has been an undeniably one of the best drives in his short GPVWC career has ended in complete heartbreak. And what could have been LEF's Auto Racing's first win ever has come crashing down.
Oh, chat is grieving here for Alessandro here. It's a mystery how that happens. James Knox repeats my feeling, no way. Patty says blood jinxed it, so it's horrible. But yeah, just one of those things. The pressure of actually completing the victory really got to Alessandro, I'm afraid. Just a big error But nevertheless, Menno Clont, he's here and he's going for 2 wins in the season. Almost unthinkable 18 months ago after his famous win at Imola that brought us all to our feet. But Menno Clont versus Matheus Micah for the win here. The consequences up and down the grid will be monumental here if Hamming could even get involved here for a 3-way battle for the win. But yeah, opposite priorities. KKR want to solidify their championship order, and Matheus Micah wants to deliver the Drivers' Championship on top of the crowned Teams Championship tonight. So here's the onboard, Amir.
The acceleration from the curb, and I think it's just too eager for on the throttle. And it's a bit of a shame. I think Alessandro, having pushed so early on for the race, know that he had to rest his hearts, and yeah, he could not have been pressing that much. But with Clont for behind and Micah making up for the field, he was just trying to get some distance to pull away a bit to really cement that lead, and it was just way too eager onto the curb, and it ended in heartbreak for Alessandro. But on the flip side of things, it's completely turned the race scenario completely on its head, because Mike is now no longer fighting for P2, he's fighting for the race win, and Menno Clont's no longer fighting for P2 / race win. He's now holds on to the race lead for the time being, and has got Matheus Micah down for behind to benefit from this. And this has actually benefited Matheus Micah more than anyone, because he's only just got one car to make a move onto those board softs. But again, the question is, his move with Hamming and the move with Ericsson, that was so difficult. If it prolongs this with Menno Clont, then Clont might have the win, but also down from behind, Hamming is also going to be able to benefit from all this too.
It's been 10.5 years since Clont won 2 races in the same FS1 season. That was, to be exact, Australia race 1 and Monaco race 2. So it's been a long time since Clont had his hands on 2 winners' trophies in one single season. He knows how to win. He got the Imola win last year. He got Germany race 2. But Matheus Micah, the serial winner, he wants to get every single point he can to ensure his championship lead is increased rather than decreased. And we're watching from behind. It's role reversal. Clont was helped by Mike Quint in that Multiforce duo at Imola in 2024. Everyone else just couldn't find a way by. But now that Clont wants a fresh start in a KKR Esports outfit, Matthew McKinnon, he has to get up very early in the morning, just like Scott Flack does, and to see his driver now competing for the win here with 1.5 laps to go. Amir, this is absolutely extraordinary. So much on the line.
Quite a fairy tale dramatic ending here to Singapore. Menno Clont, that has been with Multiforce for 8 seasons in FS1, all the way back in 2013. Actually, he made his debut in FS1 with Multiforce. Now has a chance to repeat something that he's never done since in 2015 with Salo Racing. He hadn't even achieved this feat with Multiforce themselves, and he'll be able to do it if he can just fend off with one of Multiforce's best drivers, Matheus Micah, for just one more lap. Can he do it? They're going to approach now for the final 2 corners. It's Menno Clont's time here, but Matheus Micah is looking very close here.
It's exceptionally close. Lap times slightly better for Matheus Micah, and of course Hamming is here as well. He has good conditioned tires as the final lap begins, so Hamming could play a big favor here for his fellow Dutch driver. What will he think about? Is he anywhere close? Will he decide the outcome of this race in Clont's favour? Here we go. It's the battle into Memorial Corner. Not this time, but it's an unwanted distraction there for Micah. So Clont half a second ahead. Just has to block the apexes here in this second sector, the more technical part of the lap, before the Singapore Sling comes up next. So Hamming, he's got... Oh, he nearly tagged the wall. George Russell style there. And yeah, it's going to be too far back for the Anderson Bridge attack here that we saw a bit earlier in the race. Pulled off very bravely. I forget exactly who it was. It might have been one of the Griffones. But anyway, this is the moment now, Amir. Is there deja vu? This is how race 2 ended. A Multiforce took it on the final lap, albeit unfairly. But now, turn 16 is the deciding factor in this race.
Too far. I think he's too far. Mateus is way too far to make to the move, unless he have any more push to pass left in him. But Menno Klont has just about has enough of a gap, and turn 16 comes. That is Mateus Micah's best overtake opportunity, completely gone.
It's Menno Klont 2 corners away from a double victory in 2025. He's there. Klont is the victorious driver at the expense of Alessandro Eoin and Mateus Micah. What a dramatic ending, and congratulations for all involved at KKR. They have a good affinity with this circuit, and it's paid off in fine style, having P3, Ericsson P4, and Luca D'Amelio, one of the other drivers of this event, gets an excellent P5.
And KKR matches their debut season in GPVWC. They've now got 3 race wins in a season. And it is joy, joy, joy for Menno Klont as he gets his 2nd race win of the season.
Absolutely remarkable stuff here. And oh, that's a bit mad there by Stefano. He's going almost full racing pace here. I'm not sure race direction will be too impressed. You have to behave yourself on the cool down lap before you're allowed to pull off your donuts or other celebratory gestures here tonight. So Menno Klont, I know he'll be very sympathetic to Alessandro for what happened. It was just a pure racing incident, and I'm sure if he can pick up the pieces and try again, he'll be able to learn from that mistake. But yeah, Klont, he'll be far from a poor sportsman. He'll definitely feel sympathy for Alessandro and LEF. He knows how to show grace and humility to everyone in the league. So now that he has benefited from that error and picked up the victory from 2nd place on a reverse grid, I'm sure he can celebrate with the team. So Klont, Micah and Hamming are the podium setters there. So big consequences for the championship. Micah getting 17 points for his fight back. And we've got Ericsson and D'Amelio 4th and 5th. Andrzejewski has 10 points in the collection. So practically it's a 2-point swing back for Mateus, so it's 29 points to end the evening. Tylene gets great points for KKR in 7th as well to back up his teammate. There's the donuts. We've Lattinen there, he's probably still in a bad mood, in 8th. Scott Flack 9th, and Wesley Stefano 10th. The remaining points do go to Oliver Taras, who I'm sure he's still angry. He's 11th. Tun Luer, solid comeback from his race 1 incident. Philip Koenig gets points after he also crashed out in race 1. That was 13th place. Lorenzo De Chutis, 14th place. Kasper Michalak has the 15th place for Grifone. And well, there we are. LEF Auto Racing leave empty-handed. Mark Silagi, it was a difficult race to pick up this series after driving here on Tuesday night as well. He was 16th without a point, and Eoin nothing after his pole and almost perfect victory. Terence Gretsch is 18th, the last classified driver. DNFs were Massimiliano Raboli, Michael Falkenhayn, and Raymond Van Soest. So what a bizarre feeling, because we're so happy for Menno when he does well as one of the core friends that everyone has here in GPVWC. But Alessandro, he's in absolute shock. I'm so sad for him.
You can't really write a more dramatic ending than what we've just seen in Singapore, to be honest, especially for what we know for the drivers and what they've been fighting for. And Eoin seemed to effectively hold it in, or at least had kept it on for track for such a long period of time. It almost looked certain to be his. But it was just one moment, and all that just fell under for his fingers. But the bright side is it's his first race in FS1, and it's a really hard series to do that well in. And the fact that the Italian driver has led all but a few laps is honestly remarkable. And if anything, it's a sign of things to come from Alessandro, I reckon.
Without a doubt, yeah. So the waiting room is filling up very quickly, as a matter of fact. So we'll give drivers another minute or so before we get chatting away. But yeah, 2 rounds to go, 4 events to race in, the 2 features and the 2 sprints. So Brazil on October 16th, Thursday in 2 weeks is our next round, so that could be a vital one with the championship on the line. Teos needs to be ahead by 51 points at the very least. It could be the wins tiebreaker already in his favor. If he's going to become champion, have to be 51 points ahead if he wants to win the title with one race to spare. So, yeah, that's what he'll have to think about, as he has actually benefited in the end. It's short-term loss for long-term benefit. So, yeah, that's about a minute. So it's only fair and right that race 2 winner Menno Clont is our first guest in the interview room. So let's have a chat with Menno. Hey, Menno, can you hear us?
Can hear you.
Well, hearty congratulations to you, Menno. I wasn't here for the German Grand Prix, which was one of the most remarkable endings ever, with your last corner, last lap victory. But tonight, a lot of sympathy has to go out to Alessandro on his debut, but you did absolutely everything correct. So how do you feel about your victory tonight?
Yeah, well, I'm really happy that I won. I must say, I had really good pace in practice. In the last few days, I just felt really good, and I could click right away with the car. I actually noticed that. And race 2, it was just I didn't have my rhythm, and I just noticed that. I mean, P8, P9, it wasn't bad, but I felt it. There was something missing in the car, and then okay, you're very good that you can reverse grip P9 or P10, and I knew there was a chance. And I actually was planning to get the pole sitter at the start, but no, he was way too quick. So very interesting, but I'm very happy.
Yeah, as well you should be, because the threat from Mateus was absolutely critical to the fact that you were actually on the defensive against your former team, as opposed to last season at Imola, where you had your teammate ready to help you in the multi-force color. So it must be an odd feeling to actually defeat a multi-force driver. And your most successful season in terms of trophies was 10 years ago. So you got 2 wins in one season. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really good. And with this one, I actually feel I earned it more than the one in the Nürburgring. And I think that was even a very good race for me. But I was just very lucky with an incident ahead. And this one, I fought for it. And I'm mainly happy also for the plan I executed during the race, because the idea during the race was make sure you have got tires at the end. And Mr. Eoin, I predicted already, like in the first few laps, with the pace he had, that he might have run out of tires in the last 2 or 3 laps. Well, we will never know because he crashed, but that was the plan, and I knew just how difficult it was to overtake here, and it was just when he made a mistake, then you just know you have a great shot to win it, and those last few laps still are a bit more stressed, but the last lap I think I had it under control. Of course, we have got a push to pass system, so I used it for let's say 3/4 of the last lap, so I always had an answer on, I think, on Mateus that last lap, strategy wise, with the push to pass. So that was actually also a bit of the thing, but he came very close, and I was like maybe too close for comfort. You always want to win with more margin, but no, I'm very happy. I think you can hear it. Not as emotional as last year, or as unbelievable as what happened at the Nürburgring, but still very happy because I sim raced for a long time, and I think it's around 15 years ago I had I was very fast at Singapore, and then I crashed out, and since then I always been not good at Singapore, no rhythm, and this week I just clicked. Let me stop talking, because I can talk for an hour about it.
No problem, Menno. I suppose, Amir, do you have any questions for race 2 winner?
I'm honestly lost for words. I mean, I think it's been a very long time coming for you, Menno, I reckon, because I think this has been a very, very good year for you, especially moving over to a new outfit as well. And as a result, you've got your 6th ever Formula Sprint 1 Formula Sprint 1 race wins now. So both Mo and I, we've both said our absolute congratulations, fully well deserved. I'm just curious in a question. I know you mentioned looking all for the past and how a seed for your upbringing, and you're absolutely a fantastic driver. Would you say that this race win has? I'm not trying to say it. How would you feel that this has changed your perspective for the rest of not only just for the rest of the season, but also for in regards to the future for the GPVWC? Because you've honestly had quite a very good season, reckon, especially in comparison to your teammate in Thailand as well. Both managed to be both on pace and always in the top 10. And now again, you're now a second. You got your second race win in the season, which is incredibly remarkable. So.
Yeah, what it is, I think, with the team I'm driving for, we're trying to look if we can beat HTP in the team standings. I think it's P5 and P4, and I think we had a 35-point gap, but yeah, now of course we closed it quite a bit. So that's, I think, still in the background, a bit of a focus from Lucas and me. But we shall see. I'm really happy that I won again. Even without Ed being in the commentary booth for once, because he was my lucky charm. But no, overall I think, the competition is really, really good in GPV. And but yeah, sometimes you need to have a bit of luck, a good starting position. You just see everybody's so equal. Even you saw Mr. Eoin today, is that he jumps in and he's directly on pace. And yeah, maybe tire wear related issues are maybe a bit more of a factor for him because he doesn't know the car that much. But overall, yeah, I think it's a great for GPVWC that we have got so great racing.
Excellent stuff, man. And one last question, if I may. A word for your teammate Lucas. He is very good around Singapore as well. So how do you think Lucas has been doing in recent weeks?
I think Lucas is doing really well. Maybe not the podiums or wins he would have wanted or maybe expected. But yeah, in testing he's pretty good. And yeah, I mean, he could have won this race if only he had a better race 2 starting position. I think that's how close the field is. And yeah, he was still very good. So yeah, I hope he can win one of the remaining races. That would be great.
Yeah, fingers crossed for you. I know Matthew's going to be celebrating. This one means a lot to him as well. So thank you so much for your time, Menno, and have a great evening. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. We have our multi-force drivers in the waiting room as well. So let's have a chat with our new teams, well, our defending teams champions, Pavel and Mateusz. Hey guys, welcome on in. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hello.
Hello. Very good. So let's start with the good news. The team's championship is now secured. Well done on that one. So how does that feel to have that finally out of the way? Who wants to take it?
Mateusz, you first or not?
You can go first. Or if you don't want, I can go first.
Okay, I think that's race 1 sums it up. It was a really good race with incredibly good preparation, with nailed-on strategy, and race 1 was pretty much flawless. That can be said actually about race 2, because at the same time we wanted to have fun, but on the other side we are still having this thoughts that the championship is still not being decided, the drivers' championship, I mean. So we made pretty crazy idea to start this race on softs and try to nurse those tires till the end. We have managed to, but with different success. Mateusz got P2, I got P6. So kind of mixed feelings from my side, but to be honest, I couldn't have asked for more given how the race was shaping up for me.
Yeah, I suppose, the other point of view in race 1 was your strategy call, Pavel. That worked out really well for you, going that little bit extra, I think it was. You pitted later than everyone else. So how did you feel that was going to pay off? Was it something you were confident in doing?
I think that this is the first time in FS1 that actually the overcut was the stronger strategy than undercut. And the crazy part was the only fact that why is it working is it's because the track was cold because of it's the night race, but also there is not that much corners that generate heat to those tires. So if you go out of pits on hard tires, the first 2 sectors, maybe the first actually 1 lap, you are crazy struggling. And if you managed to save your softs to the point that you don't lose this much pace at the end of the pace, which I've managed to done, I knew that there is a very big possibility from my side to get this overcut working. And it happened. After I came out of the pits, once again, I had very cold tires. So I had to park the bus, put the anchor at the turn 3 of this track, and just not get overtaken by Yases. Then push to pass on the straight, and after that, it was just sailing to the finish line.
Excellent stuff. And now to get to the negative news, Mateusz, if I may, the collision with Yassi Lehtinen proved to be a critical moment in the race 1, down at turn 16 and 17. So would you like to describe from your perspective what happened?
Yeah, but the race was interesting though, so something was happening. From my side, it was just a racing incident. I think there's nothing to explain, to be honest. In the corner earlier, he closed me very hard, so in the next corner I closed him. He braked too late. He will overshot this corner, and we collide. His teammate lost his wings because of that, so bad for them. And yeah, things goes like this sometimes in racing, but it was just a racing incident.
Fair enough. Yeah, it will be debated for sure, though. Then for race 2, you found a lot more joy on those soft tires in terms of the ability to overtake, and it almost got you the absolute maximum prize in race 2. It was just a case of Alessandro making that awfully unfortunate error. But then Menno Clant, he's a great defensive driver, and he just about had you covered. So what was your feeling at the end when a win was almost within your reach?
I know that Menno will hold it very hard, and he managed to hold it very well, so congrats for him. He drive a very good race, and he wins. Sadly, that what was the guy on P1 that
Sandro,
Yeah, sadly for him, because he has quite very good pace, and I think without this mistake he would manage to win this. But
golden opportunity, actually.
Once again,
golden opportunity.
Yeah. But yeah, the decision with the softs was made for me like 5 seconds before the start of the formation lap. We don't know what to do, what tire to choose, and we say like, okay, we have the team championship, so let's have some fun and we will try to manage it. And to be honest, it was very good decision, because even at the end of the race, I think even guys on hards were struggling with the rears. I think only Frank Hamming was not struggling, but he's always giving that best of him in races too. So yeah, quite a lot of overtakes. some fights, one mistake, but overall very good results. I'm happy with that. Racing, it was very fun.
Now, Amir, if you'd like to have a chat with either of our Multiforce drivers, go ahead. The mic is yours.
Well done to you both. No, Singapore was, a very notoriously difficult street circuit, but both of you have gotten, honestly, very, very well, especially with the performance that we've seen. There's 2 races left to go. I'm pretty sure the team's championship has been cemented, but now the focus is now on just you two now. So the only thing that is really separating from the drivers' championship is just each drivers. Micah have a bit of advantage, but my question is, since you two have got the team's championship more or less cemented now, how will the environment between you two? Is the environment between you two going to differ from what we've seen in the previous races to now to Interlagos and Abu Dhabi, since you two are both racing for the championship now?
If I will be leading race 1 in Abu Dhabi and there will be still a chance to get the championship, I will be holding back Mateusz like never before, like Hamilton held Rosberg in 2016. So just get ready that you need to focus on staying on track. In Brazil, I think that I will be racing you as hard as Verstappen was racing Lewis Hamilton. I'm looking for another examples, but yeah, to be honest, it's 29 points after this round. I had very good chance today to make it a little bit less. It didn't work out. I think that Brazil will be the end of a championship dream, and I'm fully aware of it, and I'm fully okay with living with that dream being over. I don't know how Mateusz is looking at it.
I think Pavel says all. Pavel is saying that kind of stuff from the beginning of the season, but only one mistake from my side in race 1, for example, in Brazil or in Yas Marina can turn it 180 degrees difference. So yeah, I'm waiting for the fight. Today Pavel was in race 1 unreachable for me, even in quali. I was slower, so yeah, I'm waiting for the fight. I'm happy for that we can push it very hard because of the claiming the team championship.
It will definitely be a treat for not just for us commentators, but I'm sure for all the fans and for all the drivers to really see you two undeniably have been the strongest drivers throughout the entire championship, and probably one of the strongest pairings that we've seen in Formula Sprint 1 as well throughout its tenure, to really duke it out for the final 2 rounds. So I think me and Eoin will both be very excited to commentate over for your battles.
For sure,
Thank you. That's nice to hear. I love to give you entertainment. I don't like when I'm spinning out of lead, but it also happens.
Yeah, it happens. It's part of racing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay.
Jason want to celebrate his 3rd title in charge of Multiforce as a team boss. So yeah, go ahead and have another beer or 2 if you want. So have a good night, guys. Well done.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you,
So long. And last but certainly not least, let's have a chat with poor Al Lorenzo. Yet again, the tough outcomes of sim racing have bit him and his team. But let's try and have an honest chat about it with the final interview of the night. So let's bring on Lorenzo. Hi, Lorenzo. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Look at we're all devastated for you, and Alessandro especially. Poor fella, could hardly believe it. So, were you pacing around the room thinking, is this finally my time for being the leader of the team, or did you think something was going to go wrong?
I definitely had my mind devoted to that, but to say that I was focusing on only one driver would be a major disservice to both of them, really, because Mark also, he had his issues with the car, of course. I'm not going to deny that, and neither will he. But I'm very happy with how he performed as well, even though he himself has said that he didn't do as well as he'd have hoped for. But I can't say I'm not happy with him, because he stepped in fairly late, gave it his all, and yeah. But of course I was constantly looking over at how Alessandro was doing, and then when I saw him dropping, my heart dropped as well. But no points in race 2, but at the end, just again showing what we really can do once luck goes our way. Unfortunately, our luck did run out a bit later on in the race, but yeah, it was nice to be leading the pack for a majority of the race, and hopefully next time, about either this or next year, we manage to seal it as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to look at it. There's still a bit of time this year before moving on to business in 2026. But yeah, I suppose we can consider race 1 as well. There was a bit of chaos that befell some of the other drivers who would have been competing for points. So Alessandro kept his nose very clean, especially on a tough track at his first go in this category. So was there any highlight that you could remember that may have slipped my mind that you can think about in race 1 for Alessandro first?
Unfortunately, I can't say I do, because I was busy today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, with like anything away from the series. I was Mark's personal race engineer for this race. I did inquire Alessandro whether he would be willing to join us as well, but he said he wasn't able to. So I was more focused on Mark for this race, but at least on terms of viewing on-track activity. But in regards of how proud I am of both of them, I'm equally proud of both of them, and I'm both gutted and happy with how we performed today. Gutted because it could have been so much more relation and so much more points and such a big helping hand, but also gutted because we just didn't manage to bring it across the line in the end.
Yeah, that's fair. I suppose Mark did make that one error. We caught it on the replay. His tires on. I'd be surprised if they were intact. After that, he had to rescue the spin. So, was there any advice that you could give him just to get those tires as far as possible without losing them, for example?
Well, I wasn't particularly able to give him any advice other than I kept him updated on gaps and everything, and once he said that he didn't feel comfortable trying to push for positions, he gave it his all to defend, and once the gaps started forming between him and the drivers in front, we just decided to minimize and save tires for both races. Race 2 initially was going to be a major bus parking operation, to put it that way. We got lucky on that first lap with that big pile up in turn 8, I think it was. So immediately after it happened, I told Mark to just park the bus, conserve the tires. He held on for as long as he was able to. There was a bit of battling as well with the cars behind, a bit of contact, some of them, but I don't think it was anything major enough to make a fuss about. And after everything was said and done, and hold on.
Where's the top?
Hmm?
I think it's just BRB, sorry.
That's fine.
My microphone decided to not function for some
Oh
reason.
dear. Okay.
Where was I? Right.
Just trying to think. Yeah.
Race 2 strategy.
Yeah, race 2. Yeah.
After being overtaken by, I think it was the Oates, who was the last closest car behind him, and we saw Terence Grech was 50 seconds or so behind. So I just told Mark to try and keep as close to the pack as possible, because there was some activity up front that could incur some time penalties. But other than that, to just focus on tire saving to get it across the line in one piece.
Yeah, that's very important stuff. I suppose, Amir, do you have any questions for Lorenzo?
Congratulations on the team scoring their. It's the 69th point that you've gotten in. It's a magical number. How do you feel about achieving such a wonderful feat?
Don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, really, because it feels like it could have been so much more points. It could have been achieved early in the season, and by now we could have been talking about reaching 100 points or reaching 125 points or something along those lines. But yes,
Yeah.
funny number has been reached, and hopefully we don't stay on that funny number for after the season's over.
Another final question. This result that Eoin has done, finishing P10 onto the first race, means that you're now equal on points with Team Iris, and that means that you and Tony Laura's team are going to battle up to see who's going to be the more superior purple team in this season. So how do you feel looking over for the final 2 rounds for the championship with that fight with Team Iris?
Now that you put it that way, a bit stressed, because I was hoping we would be able to jump them after this round. But
You're close. You're honestly very close. It's not really anything to be stressed about, in my opinion, because I think the showing is there that with the drivers that you have, this was Mark's first FS1 race, so that means that he's going to get better. He's definitely going to get better from there if he has more laps, because as we've talked about before with B&O, an FS1 car is really different than to an FS2. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it takes shorter. So that means that we know that Mark will get better if he continues on for the races. And the same goes for Alessandro, that just had one mistake. So it does honestly seem to be a very good showing for both drivers in their debut to, perform as they did, because I don't think Mark didn't retire as well, which is also quite an impressive feat as well.
Both drivers finished both races. Mark was, from memory, 19th in race 1 and followed by 16th place in race 2. And Alessandro, well, we know how his race 2 ended, as well as his race 1. But no, I don't know. For next race, Alexander Gonzalez Green should be back. He was supposed to be driving this race as well, but Wednesday morning I did get a DM from him saying he and his family were not under the weather, they were ill. They had the flu, I'm assuming. So he wasn't able to compete today, but he should be, as it stands, able to compete at Interlagos. So it remains to see who will be filling in that second vacant seat alongside him. It was promised to Mark before Singapore that he would be the one rounding out the season with us, but he is waiting for me in the team server. So I will talk things out a bit more, a bit of a briefing after the race and everything, to see how he likes the cars, how he's feeling about doing Interlagos and Abu Dhabi as well, because he did mention struggling a bit with tire saving. And I know Alex has been fairly exceptional on tire saving throughout the season. He's been able to pull out stints longer than some people I've seen have been able to. So yeah, definitely plenty on my plate for Interlagos, and throw in time on Friuli, I'd say.
Yeah, I suppose, just to correct yourself, it was actually P18, I think, for Mark there. So, you got 18th place. So, still a good showing to get the car to the finish after such a long effort to get there in 31 laps. No mean feat. Anyway, I suppose, Lorenzo, the chat is very sympathetic. Everyone was so heartbroken to see Alessandro crash out the way he did. So I'm sure we can all agree it was just so sad. We couldn't believe it. So
Yeah.
best of luck next time.
Some people more heartbroken than others. I did have
Of course.
a bit funny saying this, but I did have Mr. Matthew McKinnon in my DMs a bit mockingly saying that this is the second time we've been on reverse grid pole and have failed to finish in the points. So, you win some, you lose some. I mean, I was a bit miffed at that particular moment. But, saw a bit of banter in the end, and I do congratulate Menno as well on his second win this season. Unfortunately, it wasn't our day, but it was his day, it seems.
Yeah, he does know his way around race 2 events. He was in the right place at the right time to be the first on the scene when Alessandro made his error. But yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's good to have the spirit among the team bosses as well, up and down the grid. So that's nice to see as we near the end of the season. So yeah, Lorenzo, thanks so much for your time. We'll let you go. So have a good evening and take care.
Thank you, and likewise.
So long. So that is heading towards our longer interview segments. We've had a few where we needed very little time to have everyone's say, but tonight, yeah, plenty of talking points, and business is now very much the agenda for Multiforce. They're going to go head to head as a pair of drivers for the championship.
Yep. I think Singapore has really proved to us that you do not need a full grid to produce fantastic racing. This has generally been one of the probably most impactful races that we have seen throughout all of the Formula Sprint 1. It had everything. It had, drama, fantastic overtakes, fantastic drives, fantastic defenses, debutant really coming to their own, underdogs, and challenging up against legends of FS1. And I think it's so good to have this for Singapore, and it's going to bring such great anticipation and momentum as we draw the series over to a close. The 26th season of GPVWC approaching for its 27th, and for FS1 it will be concluding very, very soon. Just 2 more rounds left to go with Interlagos and Abu Dhabi, and then with that, Multiforce holds on to the teams, and indeed it's all between Mike and Ajinski, and you hear it, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to battle out until the very end.
Yeah, that should be very popular indeed. We're going to find out who the champion shall be, rightfully, one way or the other, in the Multiforce camp. Yasser Lattinen, I think it's too much to ask for him to pick up the 100 points he needs, most likely to stand any chance. It's almost impossible, but he'll never give up until the end. So that's time enough, I think. Amir, thank you so much for dropping by after a long day on the road for yourself there. So it's great that you could make it in the end.
Yep, thank you very much. I would have never missed FS1 for the World, to be honest. I was like, whenever I was in my hotel room and I realized the event that I was actually going to was cancelled, I was like, right, what's the first bus back to my home so I can commentate? Because I knew it was going to be an exciting race. And I'm so glad this didn't disappoint. Well, FS1, to be honest, never ever disappoints, ever. So this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much as well to everyone for being so supportive. Lorenzo, that we've just interviewed, did offer to commentate if I didn't make it. So all the big congrats to him, and also big thank you to Eoin, Harmon, and Remco de Zeeuw as well. I know the season had drawn to a close, but it's been honestly fantastic working with you two gentlemen, and I couldn't be happy here with my first ever season as a GPVWC commentator to have. I really couldn't have done it without you two.
Yeah, for sure. And Remco designed some championship graphics for us on Instagram earlier today, so that's really appreciated. Remco, great job on that. So he's probably gagging for me to end the stream. So thank you for everyone's time tonight. Really appreciate it. Let's chat again in 2 weeks, but don't forget, next week we've Super Lights and Super League, so don't miss that in our next round of events in the following week. But yeah, 2 weeks time, Brazil, be there. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.